Well, happy Tuesday, everybody. Welcome in to Ben and Woods. Let's get our heads right on this Tuesday morning. Got a fun show planned for you today. All sorts of hijinks and whatnot going on. And our little sugar cookie is back. It is National Sugar Cookie Day, and he has returned from his vacation. We will talk to him in a moment. First of all, thanks for being here. However you consume Ben and Woods, we really appreciate it. If you watch us on YouTube, it's a good way to watch us. You can see kind of the reactions of the crew and a little behind the scenes. Go to youtube.com, search for Ben and Woods, give us a like, subscribe, all that stuff. Listen on the Odyssey app, your smart speaker, and of course, your trusty radio will really never let you down. Sometimes it does. I'm Woodsy, that's Paul Reindl. He's the executive producer. Good morning, Paulie.
Good morning.
And to my left, our sweet little angel, back from vacation. Good morning, Benjamin.
Good morning, Thank you. Thank you very much. National Sugar Cookie Day.
There he is.
Don't talk to me about food. I am
Oh, no.
I am overly stuffed. You guys know what the American plan is? Have you ever heard that expression used at a hotel?
Yeah, it is work hard.
No.
Get underpaid.
That's the American dream.
Feel like crap most of the time. Get on antidepressants. And then drop dead before you're able to enjoy anything. That's the American plan.
That's the America plan.
That's the America plan, right.
No, the American plan is when breakfast and dinner are included with the cost of your room.
Oh, yes.
And you can eat whatever you want for breakfast and dinner.
Oh, boy.
And so what you end up doing, and this is where we stayed, you're on the American plan.
How did you gain all the weight?
Yeah.
The American plan. Sounds very American,
at
actually.
breakfast, well, I'm not going to have lunch, so let's go ahead
Let's
and
crush it.
pig out, do the Eggs Benedict, huevos rancheros.
Together.
Full thing. Oh, there's some pastries over here. Grab that, everything. And then I try to at least be good and not snack throughout the day until you get to dinner. And then it's the full appetizer, main course, giant entrees, dessert is part of it as well. And you just eat so much. And I am so full at this point.
Is there a better... Now, did you eat in your room?
No. There's like a dining area where
area.
everyone goes to and gathers for breakfast and dinner every single day.
There's few things. Vacation, I love to get breakfast in the room. To sit out on the patio with my wife in our robes.
You can go get breakfast, bring it back to your room if you want, but yeah.
But like eating dinner in the room, you're like, I feel like we're kind of giving up here a little bit. It happens, it definitely happens. Eating lunch in the room is a huge no-no. Because they're gonna come in and clean it and turn the beds over. But breakfast in the room is clutch. But I do love that feeling of getting on the elevator, going down into that lobby, and it's like, where's that breakfast spot? It's just nothing better. Like on a vacation, especially, like, let's crush some breakfast here, head out on, for the day. It's just fantastic.
Vegas last month, I did my first Vegas buffet.
Yeah.
We did brunch. It was like 11 o'clock or something, and you're just like, do I want breakfast? Do I want lunch?
Yeah.
It's all
One of the
here.
dinners was a barbecue buffet with tomahawk steak, ribs, brisket, lobster tails, salmon, and I ate it all. I ate all of it. I had prime rib for dinner on Sunday night, shrimp and grits.
Oh, my God.
I just went to town.
I haven't heard that in a while. It still makes me laugh every time. Wine, lots of wine.
Oh yeah, that's part of the included deal. So cocktails, wine.
That sounds so good, man.
It's vacation, so you let yourself vacate a little bit.
I saw a guy yesterday, and whatever comes up in the algorithm sometimes on Instagram, I'll watch and see what's this guy doing. And the literal topic of his Instagram, and he's walking down a beach, his shirt's off, and he's like this. Hey, just because you're on vacation doesn't mean you can just go ahead and totally give up. And he's sweating. He's like,
God.
I'm here. I'm so-and-so. I'm in Greece. Just got my workout in. I'm like, bro, that is the last. And I've told you guys this before. I take running shoes or tennis shoes, whatever. Every vacation, I take workout clothes. Every time I go anywhere, I have never, ever once used them. Never one time. But I take them just in case the mood strikes. Instead, I'm laying in my bed at 6 p.m. eating Junior Mints, like watching my workout gear in my suitcase.
I took my Peloton shoes because they have a workout room with a Peloton. And the first day, went in there, started doing the Peloton, go, you know what, I'm not feeling it really.
This.
Never brought them out again.
No.
How long did you make it? 5 minutes?
I got to about 12 minutes.
12
so
minutes.
A 20-minute ride. And get, you
Well,
know what, I'm
what
good.
am I doing?
I did something here. I'm good.
And most
good.
and most vacays too. I mean, you're walking your ass off. So I always justify. My whole life is justification in my head for the things that I do, and I'm like, yeah, of course I can crush 4 pieces of French toast. We're gonna be walking all day. It's all good.
25,000 steps. I'm good,
bro. It's all fine. We're doing one for my birthday. That's pretty bougie, actually. Hannah's booked a place for us. So this is like. What's the date today? This is next week.
Yeah, end of next week, right?
So as soon as we're off the air Friday, we're going to Palm Springs, Palm Desert, and it's this resort called Two Bunch Palm, which is a very odd name. Two Bunch Palm. And Al Capone used to go there. It was his hideout. It was like his...
Maybe he stashed some of his loot there.
Maybe there's loot.
Geraldo never found.
Yes,
Yeah.
correct. So it used to be his thing. So I said to her, I'm like, I've been wanting to go. Somebody recommended it to me. So she booked it. So she goes, hey, have you, by the by, have you taken a look at the menu there at Two Bunch Palm? I go, well, no. Pull it up. And I said, well, I mean, it's a resort. Like, how bad could it be? She goes, well, let's just say we're going to have to stop it based on my palate of a 7-year-old.
Oh, boy.
She said,
vegan and vegetarian dishes was.
She goes,
how exciting.
She goes, we're going to have to stop at Vaughn's, all right? Because you're not going to eat for like 2 days. I'm like, I'm sure I can find something on there. I'm sure I can.
Cauliflower and coconut curry. Spring pea pappardelle.
Is there
roasted eggplants.
There's nope.
Blackened salmon.
Yeah, I'll eat that, I guess.
What about breakfast?
I don't like
is there,
salmon, but I'll eat blackened salmon. Hannah says, I just wish it was going to be hotter when we're there. It's going to be 140 degrees.
Vegan key lime pie.
Don't worry, you can have a little green goddess avocado toast for breakfast, Woods.
I'm going to come home emaciated.
Spicy Hasselback beet salad.
It's not. It's literally my nightmare. There's like suffocated
tacos.
kumquat wraps. Yeah, jicama taco. I'm like, oh,
Let's
babe.
just say I was the opposite of that this past weekend.
But she said, so it's weird. And it's also this place. They're like, we value silence here. It is like you're not allowed to like. I don't think you're really allowed to like converse much, which, you know what, has been married a while. We don't have much to say to each other anymore. I'm like, that might be a good thing. That you just have to, you go get these treatments on your body and stuff. It's going to be very weird. She's like, remember, this was your idea. I wanted to go somewhere else. And you picked Two Bunch Palm. So that's what we're going to be doing for my birthday. But it sounds fairly relaxing, I guess, right? I mean, the water there apparently is different, and it has like lithium
healing properties.
Yes, it's like lithium water. It like calms you down.
Like in the pool?
In the
or
pool, like all
okay.
the pools and the coves and everything they have. But it's cool. And she's like, the only reason you wanted to go there is because Al Capone stayed there. I'm like, yeah, 100%. That's really the only. I'm obsessed with the mafia. I'm obsessed with all of it. I
don't
want to go
picture Al
sit.
Capone eating avocado toast.
Nor
for
do
breakfast.
I. Nor do I. I feel like they've changed the menu since he's gone.
think
But
so,
I do.
too.
It was his like hideout in the desert, and so I was like, well, that's cool enough for me. But that's what I'm doing for my birthday.
Yeah, see,
so-
I'll have the jackfruit tostada. See,
jackfruit tostada. I'm dead. And it's far enough to where we can't like drive somewhere to just go to a diner like 3 times a day. So she's like, I don't know what you're doing. You're an idiot, but we're doing it. We're doing it.
The mini bar will have some dried pineapple.
Hannah goes, between eating plants and fighting for our lives in the heat, it's going to be great. Yeah, it's going to be 140 degrees out there. July 19th, by the way, is when we're going. So.
We went out there beginning of August last year, and it was 120 degrees.
I told you when we took Taylor out there and Mo, Taylor got out of the car and goes, ah! He started weeping because it was so hot.
I remember this story, which was, what, last summer?
Last summer.
And I thought that would have been...
desert. I
the desert.
Yeah, that's
I would have thought that may have been the end of your middle of the summer desert vacations last year.
We're doing it again. This time, we're doing it again in a nicer resort, but way worse food. I mean, way worse food.
Hannah says, I tried to get a refund. Only $800 to cancel.
I thought the reason you go to the desert in the summer is that the places that are $700 a night are all of a sudden $28 a night.
Right.
Because it is going to be 114 degrees.
We went specifically not to leave the room. Just get out of San Diego for like 2 days.
Sit in a room.
Go out to dinner when it's only, 98 or
yeah.
something. And we were like, oh, wow, this is really cheap. I'm like, oh, yeah, there's nobody here. It's a ghost town because it's August and it's 124 degrees.
That menu, when I looked at it, I mean, I was scanning. I mean, there's more. There's nothing I will eat as a meal. Like, there's really, like, what do I eat? What do I eat for breakfast? What do I eat for lunch? Hey, you bring me the suffocated kumquat wraps, please, and a beet. I don't eat beets. I don't eat jackfruit. I don't eat jicama. I don't eat any of this stuff. I don't know what I'm going to do for 2 days. But Hannah goes, the good news is we can leave the room to go to the hot springs. They do have hot springs there.
Oh, good.
140
In case you need to heat up a little
degrees. I cannot believe we're doing this, but yet another adventure. Did you relax? You have fun? You play some golf?
Yeah, some golf, pool time, very relaxing.
Good.
That was
good.
very nice.
Excellent. Well, it's good to have you back.
I think we've established that when the revolution comes, Woods and I are going to be the first to be hanging at the end of the gallows as they take out the bourgeois class.
Oh yeah, no question about it. Yeah, it's definitely a bougie trip.
Yeah,
but again, this lady told me you have to go. It's the most relaxing place on the planet, and I go, yeah, great, sounds great, sounds like every other Palm Springs resort. And then she said, yeah, Al Capone used to stay there, and I went, oh, that's it. I ran home and was like, babe, we got to go to this place, see where Al Capone used to hang out.
I want to see you in a zoot suit.
Can you imagine? So yeah, that's my birthday trip. Should be fun. I mean, look, content alone is going to be gold. Going to be gold. Yeah, what happened to your horseback riding? You didn't ride horses.
I went and petted a horse.
We showed the picture yesterday.
I didn't force a horse to actually get under me, which I think would have been unfair to the horse.
Now, did you see all the comments on the?
I did.
They're fantastic.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Caption this.
Terrific. I like horses.
I do like horses.
I like horse hair.
Yeah.
How's the golf?
Golf was good. It was actually, well, I mean, you don't need to go through my entire round. I could. You want me to take you through every hole I played twice?
More than anything, actually.
Walking all the way through. I literally didn't make one single birdie or one double bogey in 36 holes.
So
all
boring.
Pars and bogeys.
Just boring as hell.
A few more bogeys than pars, but I just, me, Woods.
Yeah.
Just like...
Steady Eddie.
Steady Eddie.
Steady Eddie, here we go.
What did you do on the 6th hole?
6th hole is that's a tough one. That's a par 5, but you have to lay up. I parred it the first day, 2-putt par, and then the second day I bogeyed it. So.
I swear to God, I can do this all day. Well, you missed a fun show yesterday.
It sounds like it.
Tim Flannery came in yesterday and spent a couple hours with us, and obviously. We love Flan. He's just the salt of the earth dude, and baseball needs more people like him in it. And that's one of the things I think missing from the game right now are people like Tim Flannery being in a clubhouse. Are you telling me you put Tim Flannery down in that locker room tonight, the team's going to be worse for it? There's no way. There is no stinking way. Nothing against the guys that are already down there, right? But you put Tim Flannery in any clubhouse, that clubhouse instantly gets better. Yeah. Instantly. It overnight. The guy's got so much time and skin in the game. And he came in and just regaled us with stories from yesteryear. And I could not get enough. I really felt like we could have done in another 2 hours. And he had a lot more to say. He was so kind. Anybody that gives up 2 hours of their morning to come in, on the house, we didn't pay him or anything. We don't have any money. Like
Didn't even have coffee or water.
Didn't even have coffee or
We
water.
spend it all on our vacations.
Yeah, we spend it all on our
obviously.
vacations. Yeah, our kumquat wraps. Yes, that's exactly right. My body treatments, hot stone treatments when it's 110 degrees out. Sorry, Tim, you have to wear this one. But I guess he went home and he was raving about it, and everyone was raving about him. So I look forward to having him in again very, very soon. Because I want you to hear these stories too, Benny. It was great. If you missed it yesterday, go back and listen. He said his mom, who he talked about, 92 years old. He's like, my mom is dying to listen. Where do I find this? So I sent him the YouTube link. So she watched it on YouTube last night. He's just the best. So that was a fun one, Benny. But you know the rule. When you go out of town, when we come back, you get to rehash something. So we'll find out what that is next. And
It's an easy call.
And you'll set the menu.
Set the menu. Get ready for what should be a very good Tuesday program. You're not going to want to miss a second of it. We'll get into all of it coming up next. Kelly's got our first check of traffic, and we are all back together. Good to be here on a Tuesday morning with Ben and Woods on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. I'm skipping right to the end of the menu setting, going straight to dessert, as it were. Don't usually do this.
Didn't you get enough dessert on your
I
trip?
did.
You didn't even get into the desserts, by the way.
No, let's see, what did I have? I had peanut butter pie, cheesecake. I had
I'm sorry, hang on.
cobbler.
Peanut butter pie.
Peanut butter pie. It's like
Never had that.
it was really good. It's just
Sounds
like
incredible.
like a tart, but made with like a peanut butter filling.
Little chocolate
really,
on top.
Yeah, chocolate on top. Yeah, with a crust.
Peanut butter good, pie delicious.
Good.
Exactly.
Chocolate
Why not
good.
put it all together? It's delicious. So going straight to what would be the dessert here on the program today, and I do that because Woods has brought props for the show today.
Yeah.
A little something unusual. Paulie has ramped up our board over here. Tell us what
Should we hit it? I'll just hit it.
what you have going here as we set up what is going to happen in our 9 o'clock hour this morning.
Set up who's coming in.
So joining us, and this is a rare treat for the Ben and Woods program, especially given our morning hours, we're going to have a San Diego Padres player in studio. A current player is going to join us this morning.
First time ever.
Kyle Higashioka is going to be here in our 9 o'clock hour. And Woods, ever since we met Kyle at spring training, has threatened, I want to jam with Kyle Higashioka.
I actually just want to watch him jam.
Well, you just want to watch him jam, and you don't know, you want to make sure he's set up. So you have brought your guitar, amp, we've got a board that's plugged into our
Got the
board,
real
so you
thing,
get the whole
dude.
thing, and you're ready to go.
How does that sound on the? You guys let us know how it sounds on the,
Give
the
us a
air
lick.
and stuff. A lick. I don't know any licks. Like,
I'm totally unprepared.
yeah, I'm totally unprepared. Hang on. Is that a little? How's that
Maybe
sound?
slightly overmodulated.
Little overmodulated.
Distorted.
Yeah.
It says a little quiet but good. Perfect. Oh, somebody wants some stairway. All right, no stairway. I may
I
shred
kind
it.
of hear it a little
Yeah.
bit there. Yeah, I recognize it.
Yeah, that's better.
Not bad.
There you go. Now, Higgy is a certified shredder. He doesn't know we're doing this, by the way. Somebody said adjust the distortion. All right, we'll try.
Why do you have the distortion button all the way at max, Paulie? Turn off the distortion
Let
button.
me turn it off real quick.
Maybe a little clean. Yeah, so as soon as we signed him, somebody sent me a video of him shredding the Trooper by Iron Maiden. And he's like a metal guy, and I'm a huge metal guy, so I'm just excited to see him. Now, he could walk in and look at it and go, I don't want to do this. So I have no idea.
Well, he also happens to be kind of, on the hot streak of his baseball life, at least professionally here, over the last month plus. He is almost single-handedly kept the Padres in playoff position while Luis Campusano was on the injured list and taken over as maybe the 1A catcher to Campy's 1B catcher at this point because of his play, not only at the plate, but behind the plate as well, doing a great job catching the Padres pitching staff and ended up being a critical addition in that Juan Soto trade. Thought kind of was the throw-in, just the catcher that went, the backup catcher, but where would they be without Kyle Higashioka over the last month? I ask you that.
I mean, those are the things that you never thought you would say, and you said it, and you're absolutely right. He's been great. He's been great, and again, tasked with a really, really tough gig when he got here to San Diego. So very excited to have him in. He's a quiet dude. He's a very quiet guy. Even when he hits walk-off homers, he's very understated dude. Like, just once, I'd like to see give it the air hump or something. But I'm excited to see if he'll jam a little for us. And I don't want to put any pressure on him. I just have a Stratocaster sitting right next to his seat, so I wonder what he'll think when he walks in.
That should be right at the end of the program, last 30 minutes or so. Hopefully we'll have Kyle Higashioka in studio. Before that, we'll do a Reindl Report. Now, it is Tuesday. Jesse Agler will be with us, the voice of the Padres. Called some big home runs over the weekend, especially on Friday. We'll talk to Jesse at 8:35, get an incorporator for him. Before that, we've got some giveaways on the program today as well, including Padres-Mariners tickets for tomorrow's game, a quick 2-game series against the Seattle Mariners tonight and tomorrow night before another off day on Thursday, and Speaking of music, we also have some tickets to John Fogerty, excuse me, to give away at the Rady Shell on September 4th. And we're going to somehow incorporate Woods' guitar into our Fogerty giveaway as well.
There's a bad moon rising in your throat.
Ooh, yeah,
right
there
now.
it is, right there. First half of the program is going to be most of our usual features, including Take on Woods, Don't Do This in our 7 o'clock hour. We'll get some Padres talk in as well. As Woods said, always have the authority when you have a day off to go back and talk about one thing that you missed. And I'm going to take us back to Friday night when we have that discussion. And we will do that coming up next if you're ready to go and talk about, I'm sure you rehashed it. I'm sure you played all the highlights of everything yesterday, but I just need a moment to discuss what happened in Friday night's epic game. Goes in one of the top probably 3 games of the season for the San Diego Padres, if not number 1. I mean, they've had so many interesting ones this year. So wait, you're giving me a look like maybe not?
When we talk about it next, it will be the first time we've talked about it.
Okay, well, how about that?
That was it was a choice we made on the program.
We spent so much time on the start of Lakers Summer League.
Yes.
Ronnie James scoring like 2 points.
Yeah, it was great.
We gave that a good 2.5 hours, I'd say.
Sure
Well,
you
before
did.
Flan got in,
Yeah.
then we switched it to baseball. So
All right,
when we talk about last Friday's game, it will be it'll be the first time.
We will get to that coming up next before the Padres get on to another series against the Seattle Mariners again tonight at 6:40. It's Ben and Woods. Glad to have you with us on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. So let me get this straight. Manny Machado, the Manny Machado, hit a walk-off home run.
This is Manny Machado.
On Friday. And you guys did not play a single piece of audio related to said walk-off home run.
No, and really, I don't even think you can blame us at this point. I think you have to blame the San Diego Padres for that one because we did the math. That was 6 straight Sunday losses for the team. And again, somebody had actually, after that win on Friday night, which was epic. It was amazing. It was so good. And awful. It was awful. I mean, that gamut of that 15, 20-minute run there at the end almost killed a lot of people in this town. But somebody said, bro, Woodsy, can you guys please play the good game from the weekend on Monday instead of the bad game? And I thought to myself, it didn't feel right to me to come in and be like, hey, listen, I know we lost Saturday and got bodied yesterday. Let's talk about the positives because, well, let's be honest. People don't really like the positives. And I wasn't feeling positive after those last 2 losses. I wasn't. Those were big games, Benny. I thought we needed to win. But, with Flan coming in and he was going to, do 2 hours with us, we talked about the losses. We talked about the bullpen.
Well, both are true. Those were big games because they've given the Arizona Diamondbacks some new life in the wild card race, a team that you do not want chasing, trying to chase you down the second half of the season.
You really don't.
Now,
man. They've got the experience.
They came back yesterday and blew a late 3-1 lead. They gave up 2 in the 9th, 1 in the 10th, and 1 in the 11th to lose to the Atlanta Braves.
Unreal game.
Padres aren't the only one with the Merchants on, not winning games that you feel like they should have won. So Padres 2.5 games up for that last wild card spot. But I am going to use my authority and my positivity.
Good, it's fine.
When we come back from traffic to bring you back to Friday night's walk-off win featuring the drama of the most incredible 9th inning. In some ways, baseball has ever seen. There's certainly some historic things that happened in that 9th inning that we have not seen in baseball before. So we'll get to that right after this check of traffic on 97.3 The Fan.
From the 97.3 The Fan Traffic Center, here's Kelly Danick.
Traffic is sponsored by Valvoline Instant Drive-Thru Oil Change, your trusted instant drive-thru oil change. Speeds back to normal out of the South Bay northbound side of the 805 to get that stalled vehicle out of that right lane before Telegraph Canyon Road, and no other problems on our roads at this time. Stop by any of the 30 San Diego Valvoline Instant Oil Change centers. You don't have to get out of your car. It usually only takes 15 minutes or less. Plus, get a free courtesy check of your tires and battery. Visit SoCalOilChange.com for directions and discounts. SoCalOilChange.com. I'm Kelly Danick with Ben and Woods, San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
Now, it's not entirely true. We did talk about this game for a few minutes yesterday, but that was when we had Sam Levitt on. We had him on an hour earlier. And that's a whole nother story.
Yeah, 20 minutes. We're going to dive into
we'll have to
Levitt
Sammy's
Gate.
appearance.
We got to get
strap in, buddy.
We got to get to the bottom of some things, and you're gonna be really surprised here.
So on Friday night, the one thing that you might not enjoy about where we spent our vacation is it's it's out in the country. They're trying to have you get away from city life, as it were. There's no televisions, but you can use your phone, and the internet's a little spotty, but we were able to, on Friday night, call up the game, was watching it on my phone, and really at that point, dinner was over. I just wanted to see him close out what I thought was going to be a pretty simple 7-2 victory. And I had my brother, my mom, we're kind of sitting out on the patio, got the phone, we're all huddled around just to see what we think is going to be the final out. And then, of course, Enyel De Los Santos loads the bases up, and we're going, this is so typical Padres. They've got to get Robert Suarez up. And you think the worst of it is that they had to put Robert Suarez into the game.
Right. That's where you think.
That's the damage is done already.
You feel like you have that game won easily. You're just bummed that Suarez has even got to get up, get the heavy ball out, start doing his calisthenics.
Right.
He should be in the bullpen going.
But that's the extent of it. I go, you know what? We just blew that. Could have had a nice, easy, simple 7-2 win. Rest to the back of the bullpen. Now it's probably going to affect the next couple of games. And it may have, actually. But it actually did affect that night's game as well, of course. Alec Thomas hits the grand slam. Then you get the second out, and you're going, it's just a little more nervous than I wanted, but I think they're going to close it out. Corbin Carroll doubles, and then Randall Grichuk coming up as a pinch hitter, no one understood why.
And it was, what was the
Ketel
reason?
Marte had back spasms or something.
Oh, my God. Because
But of
people
course-
were like, Torey Lovullo is the greatest manager in the history of baseball, but he didn't have a choice there. He had to put Grichuk in.
And Grichuk, of course, is a noted Padre killer.
Oh, yeah.
Who gets 2 strikes. Okay, 1 strike away. They're going to survive this. Hits the home run.
Did he hit? Was that a changeup he hit out?
I think it might have been to the Western Metal Supply Company. So all of a sudden, it's a 6-run inning for the Diamondbacks. You're down 8-7.
You're in hell. We are in hell.
And
as Padres
at this moment, you're having a crisis of confidence as a Padres fan because the historic Padres fan in you has already chalked this up as one of the most devastating losses you can remember of any season, not just this season, but any season. And then there's the slight optimist that goes, but hold on, maybe these Padres are different. We've seen signs that this year's team is different from other Padres teams of recent vintage, where they take a punch, they get back up. They are counter-punching. They can come back even from bad circumstances and find a way to win the game. And Jurickson Profar's at bat, I thought, was maybe even bigger than Manny Machado's. It's one thing, walk-offs are fantastic, but the game was tied at that point. When you're behind and know we lose in 3 outs if we don't do something, to fight back from an 0-2 deficit in the count and to do this was one of the biggest moments of the season.
Payoff pitch to Profar. Jurickson swings, hits it in the air to deep right. McCarthy is back. He is at the wall. He leaps. Gonna go! Tied again, and in the bottom of the 9th inning, it's Profar. 8-8.
Like, of course it's Profar.
Of course, it's Profar.
The weekend, he, after he finds out he's going to the All-Star game, just keeps it going, which was absolutely incredible and maybe even a bigger moment. But, of course, the walk-offs are even better. Jake works the walk, and Manny comes up and does his thing, which, Manny it's almost been quiet how hot he got over the last without anyone even really noticing. Finally,
I noticed.
I know you noticed. But finally playing like Manny Machado over the last 4 weeks. And you crossed your fingers, whatever you need to do. The longer this lasts, the longer that Manny can keep it going, hopefully through the rest of this season, he can carry the San Diego Padres.
Sure.
We've gone through those numbers in the past, not just this season, but in seasons past. When Manny gets hot, he can carry the Padres. And it was such a moment. My family were sitting around this little phone, all watching it together and going absolutely crazy. So let's go back and listen to all of the calls. We'll start with Jesse, the walk-off from Friday night for Manny Machado.
Seawald is set. Here's the pitch. And Machado swings, hits it in the air, deep to left field, way back. Gonna go! From gut punch to walk-off. Second home run of the inning for the Padres, and Manny Machado wins it with a 2-run homer.
Unbelievable.
He leaned. The lean back on that was so gangster when he did it. I mean, my whole family was asleep, so I was doing the that bit of like jumping around like I couldn't scream and
even on a little tiny phone. Once I saw that lean back,
the lean back was so gangster, dude.
This is going. This for sure is going.
On the eve of his birthday too.
And
so
then,
cool.
Then he rounds the bases, and that fan comes in and gets just trucked by security.
Oh my God! We did not talk about that. Holy cow! And the funny part was that kid ran in, and he was caught up in the moment, right? Which I guess happens, but. Manny started to dance with him for a second, and then he goes, "Oh!"
It's like those old school Hank Aaron home runs.
Yeah.
Runs onto the field, and
he's bowling him over.
I mean, remember Morgana, the kissing bandit, who would come and give players kisses as they're rounding the bases. They don't really allow that anymore. I don't know why they ever did, but they don't allow that anymore.
I'm glad that they don't.
But this guy came about as close as you can get to actually celebrating with the team before everyone realized. He's not supposed to be here.
Right.
We need to do something about this.
He just gets trucked.
Brandon says, is there ever a moment important enough that you'd wake the kids up to watch the finish? Perfect game? No. Never. Ever.
Because then you got to get them back to sleep again.
Ever. Never, ever. Those two, one of them's here today. He's out there watching his iPad.
Well,
holy cow, dude.
See, now, Now, my dad had fallen asleep, and my mom wasn't sure what to do, but she decided to let him sleep.
Let him sleep.
But then the morning comes, and it's it's like 6:30 a.m.
Why didn't you wake me up?
He still doesn't know, so she says, I'm kind of poking him to see if he's awake, going, you need to know what happened last night after you went to sleep.
It's happened to how many walk-offs we had
What
this
was
year?
the-
Like
she goes,
9? Hey, it's happened to
She's
Hannah. Hasn't
tapping
seen
like,
any of them.
What was the score when you went to bed last night? It was 7-2. Did they not win 7-2? Oh no, that's not the final
So
score
your
of the game.
your dad just called it. Oh, we got this one in the
Yes.
bag. I'm hitting the
And
sack.
I know there are tons of Padres fans out there who did that on Friday night. Long week, you're tired.
I was close.
You're ready to turn in. It's 7-2. What could go wrong at that point?
Well, a few weeks ago, we were up 10, and I put the joke out on Twitter, and I said, yeah, I'm enjoying this 10-run lead, but we all know, if you've watched this team this year, Robert Suarez will get up. Now, he didn't that game. It was a 10-run lead, and I think we gave up a couple, maybe, but we didn't have to get him up. But it's been a thing. We asked Mike Schilt about it. He was visibly upset about the question, as he usually is when I ask him anything. He was mad about that. Well, because these last three are hard to get, man. I'm like, yeah, bro, I know. But there's got to be somebody that you can count on with that. You got to be able to give big game Bob a night off. And we did the numbers on how much he's been used. It's not that much in comparison to other top closers. Emmanuel Clase's got more mileage on him. But I wonder if Clase gets up and warms up every game, because that's what it feels like with Robert Suarez.
Yeah, Suarez has had a couple of weeks where they haven't needed him that have kind of minimized his usage. But when they have used him, it's been pretty hot and heavy, pretty intense, and not something that you want to keep trying to sustain over the course of the season.
No question about it. And, I realize those are the toughest ones to get. They are. In any league ever. They're the worst ones to get. That's why elite closers are elite. But it should never have been there. And if you're Mike Schilt right now, you're thinking to yourself, what lead is safe for this team? And you can't have that, obviously, moving forward.
So
but
Jesse's call of the walk-off was outstanding. Don's was, I thought an all-timer. That's the one that we heard as we were streaming the TV broadcast. I mean, just unbelievable work by Don Orsillo here.
In the air to deep left field.
Amazing.
That ball is back, and it's headed into a sea of San Diegans. Manny Machado walks it off.
Unbelievable. Just perfect. Great call by Don. The opposite, of course, would have been the Arizona Diamondbacks team broadcast, which went, let's just say, minimalistic after they went crazy in the top of the inning. They're thinking this is going to be the win that turns their season around, and it just didn't end well for them.
Wade holds. Machado sends everybody home.
And literally, that was it.
That's it.
We could play it for another 30, 45 seconds. They don't say another thing. They just acknowledge that this did not end the way we thought it was going to end.
yeah, I mean, what an incredible comeback for them. I mean, and again, they it's weird. They lost that game, but they used that momentum of coming back in the ninth inning, and the next night were able to hold us off, and that was that game.
I thought for the first time I let myself think they're actually going to pull this off.
too.
They loaded the bases, had a run in. It was 7-5 after they had given up 3 in the top of the ninth,
Yeah.
or 10th. And I thought they're going to do this. They're going to do this.
Yeah, they had an opportunity to do it, and again, they said what has been the standard line, and I think I'm starting to believe it. Jake said it the next day. We put ourselves in a position to win the game, and we didn't get the job done. But we continue to keep putting ourselves in positions to win the game. We're going to win those more often than not. And honestly, like, you hear a lot of coach speak, player speak from every clubhouse. I believe it with this team. I think in their minds they think, oh no, if we can get the tying run to the plate, that's mission accomplished. Yes, you want to win the game, but they also know they're not going to win every game. We put ourselves in a position to win that game. We didn't get the job done. It's okay. We're going to try it again the next day. Now, the next day they went out and got bodied 9-1. But you know what I'm saying? Like, it's a mentality they have.
And I watched until Suarez's home run that made it 3-1, and then I was kind of pooling and doing time with the family and the boys. That was a good game until the very end.
It was.
They could have won.
Really
they could have won that game.
Listen, 4 hits isn't going to get it done. Ryan Nelson had been nothing to write home about, but he pitched off his ass, and we just didn't hit the ball. We didn't strike out a ton. Just kind of hit balls at people. And
Cease did have a good bounce back
God, he
start.
did. He was really
gave
good.
Gave up the leadoff home run, but was pretty darn good after that.
Well, and, listen, again, I did see people yelling at Schilt for leaving him in to give up that 2-run homer. But again, man, who do you go to?
Well, we saw who he went to.
Right.
Who
do you go to?
It was just not good.
They clearly need help, a reset, a rest, whatever it is. But we're not going to go anywhere, Ben, without pitching. And we got to get some more of it.
We got 2 more calls left from Friday night's Manny Machado walk-off. Let's go to Eduardo Ortega, Padres Spanish language broadcast.
0-2 la cuenta para Machado. Wade en la inicial. Lanzamiento el derecho. Y ahora Machado nos manda a celebrar a casa. Por todo el jardín izquierdo. La destruye. La despide. Machado le dice adiós.
Whoa, hot mic.
Cuadrangular con hombre a bordo de Machado. Una jornada de 4 imparables.
That's not Eddie.
That's not Eddie. He had the night off or something.
Yeah, he must have the night off.
That was definitely not Eddie.
Yeah, because that was
That was Spanish language. And then, of course, the Korean guys,
I haven't
wherever
heard
they
this
are,
one yet.
have not heard it either, so I'm looking forward to this one.
Goodbye.
플로파의 독점 솔로포 매니 마차도의 끝내기 투런 이 경기를 끝내는 건 매니 마차도입니다.
We're starting to play somebody of their calls. I'm starting to learn a little bit
Yeah,
of
I
Korean.
think I know a little bit of Korean now.
I learned goodbye.
Goodbye.
I heard Manny
Manny
Machado.
Machado.
They seem to continue to ramp up their level of excitement, and you think that there's none left. They've already hit 10 on the scale of 1 to 10, but they just leave a little bit in reserve for the next one that comes to see if they can add yet more enthusiasm to their walk-off calls.
When was the last time you were that excited about anything? Anything at all? Anything.
I don't know ever.
I don't know
I
either.
get more excited about weekly calls of walk-off wins than I ever get excited in my life about anything.
It's yeah, I mean it was really
when the Padres
special.
win the World Series, one of them's going to have a heart attack.
That's it. Just done. Just out. Or he's not going to have a heart attack. He's just going to pass out from excitement. But I loved Friday night, and yeah, Benny, it really. Now, had they won on Saturday, we would have blown off Sunday entirely. We would have come in and talked about a series win. We would have played all the great highlights. Those 2 games back to back, if they had won on Saturday, would have been elite radio yesterday. I do apologize.
All right, so what happened with Sammy Levitt yesterday?
Bro.
We're trying to dig into the mystery of Sammy's appearance. If you missed it, like I did, we'll get you caught up when we come back. Play a little Take on Woods next as well. Don't go away. More Ben and Woods coming up here on 97.3 The Fan. offer my belated thank you to Sam Levitt for filling in for us on Friday. I did catch some of that show on my drive up to vacation, and Sam did a real nice job.
Did he? Good.
Was solid. Always great when it comes to the Padres talk, and it was good having some local radio to enjoy on my drive on Friday morning. So thank you to Sammy. But then apparently yesterday, and I did not hear this yesterday morning, Sammy had his weekly appearance with you guys, and something went wrong technologically.
Yeah, so he was...
Still don't know what happened.
When Sammy calls in from his abode in Pacific Beach, there's an area that cuts in and out in his place. It's not uncommon. I've got the dead spot in my house as well. It just happens. And so we've had some issues with Sammy Levitt's call-in. Sometimes he goes out and does it from like a coffee shop, which is better. But yesterday was one of those where he was a little bit sounding underwater. Paulie and I are giving each other the look like, oh, God, do we? All right, Sam.
Such an uncomfortable feeling. Because you're hoping it'll just correct itself in a second, but at some point you got to just go, all right, this isn't sounding good. No one can understand what he's saying. We got to pull the ripcord and do something else.
Pull the ripcord is exactly the right phrase. So we did. So, Paulie, I'll vamp for a minute. You send him the Zoom link. Now, yesterday, you weren't here, so I was hosting and doing the mechanics of the show. It's not my favorite thing to do, but I'm pretty active in the chat when you're hosting. And when I host, I barely look at it. But I happened to kind of glance down at it, and people were saying that Sammy sounds different and that there's some lisp. And I never noticed it. Really, I never did. It sounded in my head as I was thinking, I'm looking at the clock, we got to be out at this time. Flan's here, he's getting set up. So I'm white knuckling it, right?
I noticed it right away. I didn't do anything different.
You didn't do anything different.
We've had Adam Jones, Jesse Agler.
Sure.
We've had 100 guests on Zoom for the audio.
Listen to the before.
This is what Sammy sounds like talking into a mic. Everybody knows.
Hi, good everyone. Sam Levitt with you inside the loft here at the Western Metal Building at Petco Park.
He's got a bit of a, Long Island-y, East Coast accent.
But he's got a broadcaster's voice.
Of course.
So go back to yesterday. Here was Sammy on the phone early on before it started to cut out and we switched over to Zoom.
What do you even say about that one inning alone, right? The roller coaster it was and losing the lead and having to bring Suarez in, which I'm with you, has happened way too often.
Right,
normal
Sammy Levitt on the phone.
That is the same guy that you heard on the mic. That is him talking on the phone, for sure.
Paulie sends him the Zoom link.
I don't know who this person was.
There's about a 5-foot spot in my kitchen, and I swear to you, it's not like I'm standing in this spot where I have literally no service at all. Bad. So there is something about this apartment. I'm going to have to stop doing it from here.
No. When Paulie played it for me after...
It was probably 2 minutes between the phone and Zoom.
Yeah.
I'm like, did he go put in his Invisalign in between?
One of my little nephews, they're losing their teeth.
Yeah.
When that happens?
Yeah.
And you don't have the front teeth to talk to?
Winning 3 out of 5 against 2 good teams, that would be a really nice way to finish the half. And I just think for this group, the way they're constructed right now, the injuries, the guys they're missing, you just have to avoid letting 2 games become a skid.
A skid. Everyone was like, "Oh, look, it's spring training Sammy, in season Sammy."
He texted me after, within 5 minutes of us hanging up and going to commercial break and all that. He goes, "What happened?
What did you do?"
I go, "I didn't do anything."
So one of my 3-year-old's favorite things in the world to do, when he's screaming, when he's melting down, the one way I can get him to calm down is I go to Instagram. And I go to the funny faces filter that puts the dog ears on him, makes him into a clown. It changes his voice. So we'll lay in bed and scroll through those. And I'm looking at Paulie. I'm like, is there a Zoom feature that you can be like, hey, make him sound Scottish. Make him sound, because if so, I want it more. I want to make Mike Schilt sound like an Irishman the next time he calls. Let's have some fun with it.
I wish I was that good.
Paulie said, I did nothing different. Hey, top of the morning. It's Mike Schilt. I go, is there something different that you did? And
you just have to avoid letting 2 games become a skid.
A skid. So I go, what in the world, dude? And I can't believe it. And it sounded again, people were like, it sounded like he had a retainer in, whitening strips on his teeth.
Stung by a bee on his tongue.
Right. So we just could not We could not figure it. We couldn't figure it out. And I go, I'm so sorry, Sammy. Like, obviously, we would never do that to Sammy.
Let's do an experiment. I
Can
sent
we
you a
recreate
Zoom link.
this?
The same Zoom link that I sent to Sammy.
Same one.
It's a custom link for my email address or whatever. It's the same code.
So
same.
Woods is going to go off on a Zoom
Just
link.
stand right outside of that window.
Stand outside. Go on the same Zoom setup that Sam Levitt was on yesterday. And let's see if we can recreate this for Woods.
Wonder
and
what
the
Woods will
same,
sound like.
Same effect.
All right, there
All
we go.
right,
I
now
got
you're
you.
on. All right, close the door. All right, Woodsy's left the studio. He's going to join us via Zoom.
Can you hear us?
Hey guys,
Whoa!
Wow.
what's up? What's up? It's Stephen Woods. No, how does it sound? Does it sound normal?
You sound like Mike Tyson.
Does it sound normal now?
Now it
Yes.
sounds normal, yes.
I'm outside of the studio
I broke
talking
my
about
back.
Padres. Normal.
Normal.
You sound fine.
Yeah, you sound fine. Other than when you're
Okay.
When you're
throwing
not
it in.
trying
Yeah,
to.
when you're not trying to sound off, it sounds like completely normal. We're sorry, Sammy. We're sorry that you had to endure an entire appearance not sounding like yourself, and that had no fault of his own.
It's so nuts. Michael says it's the noise reduction filter in Zoom. When he hits the hard S, it knocks it down.
Tech chat savvy.
So I wonder if that's on Sammy's end. Sorry, Sammy's end on his
There's
phone.
about a 5-foot spot in my kitchen, and I swear to you, it's not like I'm standing in this spot.
There's a lot of S's.
I'm saying. You just got to avoid the letter S, apparently.
Fuck it, Sammy. What in the world?
Where I have literally no service
so
at all.
bad.
So there is something about this apartment. I'm going to have to stop doing it from here.
It's incredible. It's incredible. It's just one of those weird things that happened. Surfers rule us. It sounds believable. Yeah, I trust me. If we were doing a bit, we would have come in this morning and said, "Look what we did to Sammy Levitt yesterday." But we didn't. I would tell you if we did, and we did not. We would
Not
definitely
making fun of him.
We would no.
nothing. Like,
we would
it's
definitely
just-
do it to Ben too at some
I could
point.
not believe that happened.
Can you imagine you call in from the road and we would put a filter on you every time?
Final.
Yeah.
I don't think we had any qualifiers last week for our new prize to Las Vegas for Take on Woods here. So if you want to try to be the first to get in here.
We gave one away yesterday.
Oh, you
That's
gave
it.
one
Yeah.
yesterday? All right. So if you want to be the second to try to get in for the trip to the Rio Las Vegas, call now 833-288-0973, 833-288-0973. Play our musical trivia game here in just a couple of minutes. Don't forget, coming up later in the program, Jesse Agler will join us at 8:35. And then in studio in our 9 o'clock hour, if you missed it earlier, Kyle Higashioka is going to join us. Woods has brought in his guitar, the amp. We got a board to plug in. We just don't have permission yet from Kyle Higashioka to make him play for us.
Correct.
Which is really what you want. Now, will he be able to play your guitar? Is it?
That's all
is
I
it
brought.
pretty much.
I'm
I know,
not jamming with him. I'm just want to
I
watch
know.
him jam.
I mean, his guitar, they all similar. Like
Yeah.
they're you can
Yeah.
play. It's not like personalized.
Well, I mean, everybody is
A little
He'll
bit,
prefer his.
preferred, but like he has his own bat.
It's like if someone gave me a 7-iron, even if it wasn't my own, I could adjust quickly
Yeah.
and try to hit it at least. Might
Yeah,
not be my favorite, but
he doesn't swing Donovan Solano's bat. You
Right.
know, he's got his own, but he
could.
could. Yeah,
But he could.
yeah. It's not that.
The
sacred.
theory is the same.
The theory is the same. Yeah. The only difference is if he is a left-handed guitar player, which I've seen pictures. He's not, from my understanding. He's not. He doesn't do anything left-handed. From what I've seen of Kyle Higashioka.
Hits right-handed,
Hits right. He
throws
throws
right-handed.
right-handed. So.
It'd be odd if he just decided to play guitar
Oh, sorry, bro.
left-handed.
I'm a lefty like Hendrix. So I think we're in good shape there.
All right, outstanding. All right, we got some contestants on the line. Let's get to it. It is time for Take on Woods. All right, let's get Guy in. Guy, always one of our great Take on Woods contestants. Good morning, Guy. Try to get in for the month of July here. How are you?
Good. How are you guys doing?
Good. All right, Woods has left the studio. 5 questions of musical trivia. If you can beat or tie him, you will qualify for our grand prize drawing, 2-night stay and dinner at the Rio Las Vegas. Also, a day bed at the Rio pool. They've got 4 sparkling new pools, They've got some redone rooms. It's looking great at the Rio Las Vegas. You can book now at riolasvegas.com. Give you the chance to pick our category, give you a little advantage here. We've got Give 'em a Hand, 5 song titles including the word hand. We got Rush, all about the band Rush, and our new category, Oh Boy, 5 song titles that include the word boy or boys. So Give 'em a Hand, Rush, or Oh Boy. Guy, what would you like to play?
Let's try Give 'em a Hand.
Give 'em a hand. All right, we've got 5 song titles. Pretty simple. They all include the word hand somewhere in there. You'll have 60 seconds. Answer as many of the 5 as possible. You don't know, you can say pass. We'll come back to it if there's time left on the clock. And then we'll put your score in. Woods will come back, same 5 questions. You know how it works. First question's our 2-second song. Paulie's going to play a little music. You need to give me the song title, including the word hand, and the artist to score that point. All right, Guy, you ready to play?
I'm ready.
Paulie, you queued up? All right.
I'm ready.
Paulie's good to go. 60 seconds on the clock. Category is Give 'em a Hand. Your time begins when Paul plays our music. Good luck, Guy. Let's take on Woods.
I want to hold your hand, the Beatles.
Correct. Alanis Morissette plays the signature harmonica herself, in which 1995 single that ends with the line, and the other one is Hail in a Taxi Cab.
One hand in my pocket.
Correct. Indie band Fits and the Tantrums get a lot of radio play, with which 2016 hit?
Clap your hand.
Ooh, incorrect. Which
Hand
1994 single, was the breakthrough debut hit for Hootie and the Blowfish?
Pass.
Former One Direction member Niall Horan had his biggest solo hit with his debut single from 2017.
Oh, jeez. Pass.
Which 1994 single was the breakthrough debut hit for Hootie and the Blowfish?
Hold my hand.
Hold my hand. Former One Direction member Niall Horan had his biggest solo hit with which debut single from 2017?
Hands off.
It was Slow Hands. I know you got Fits in the Tantrums hand clap after you said clap hands, but I got to go with the first answer there. So we got 3 for you. I don't know. That might be enough.
I don't know. Woods is a big One Direction fan.
Yeah, I know. That's gonna trip him up. I think hand clap could trip him up. I think he'll get hold my hand. I don't know. We'll see. All right, Guy's score is locked in.
Oh, Guy? Jeez.
Guy is here.
Always a beast.
Put 60 seconds back on the clock. Same 5 questions. Your time begins when Paul plays the music. Good luck, Woods. Let's take on Guy.
It's the Beatles, and it is... Oh, yeah. I'll come back to it.
Alanis Morissette plays the signature harmonica herself, in which 1995 single that ends with the line, and the other one is Hail in a Taxi Cab.
Ironic?
Incorrect. Indie band Fits and the Tantrums got a lot of radio play with which 2016 hit?
I played it every day of my life. I'm losing my mind. Come back to it.
Which 1994 single was the breakthrough debut hit for Hootie and the Blowfish?
Hold my hand.
Correct. Former One Direction member Niall Horan had his biggest solo hit with which debut single from 2017?
Hand job.
Incorrect. Go back to the 2-second song.
Oh, what? I want to hold your hand.
Correct. Alanis Morissette plays the signature... Oh, you missed that one. Indie band Fits and the Tantrums got a lot of radio play with which 2016 hit?
It's going to drive me nuts. Raise your hands.
No, and wow, Guy takes it 3-2.
What was the...
It was Give Him a Hand, so I want to hold your hand.
Okay.
And you got Hold My Hand,
Right.
but Hand in My Pocket was the...
I got one hand in my
And the
pocket.
other one is Hail in a Taxi Cab. Hand Clap.
Hand clap. I can hear your hands clap. Pop, pop.
And then Slow Hands, which neither of you got, was... did I say that Niall Horan? Is that
I think
correct? Does
that's
anyone
right.
even know?
Yeah.
One Direction. I think that's right. All right, Guy, congratulations. You have won outright today. You are into the drawing for the Real Las Vegas. Stay on the line. Paulie's going to get your information during the break.
Good job, Guy.
We got Don't Do This coming up next. Former Dodger in the Don't Do This crosshairs today, unless you had this yesterday, which I think it was new.
I don't know what you're talking about. I'm
Okay,
excited.
then we will have a former Dodger in heading to prison in Don't Do
What?
This. Yes,
Oh.
not in this country.
Jeez.
It's coming up next after a check of traffic here on 97.3 The Fan. Don't Do This is brought to you by the Craft Taco in Sorrento Valley. Craft Taco has some of the best quality tacos in all of San Diego. Go to thecrafttaco.com. Take a look at their happy hour specials today. Thecrafttaco.com. I will start in Major League Baseball, where a former Los Angeles Dodgers outfielder, I don't know if you saw this, after his career, Raul Mondesi got into politics in his native Dominican Republic and actually served as the mayor of the city of San Cristobal from 2010 to 2016, then decided to try to run for Senate in the Dominican Republic, didn't win. Unfortunately, during his time as mayor, apparently he embezzled $5 million of public funds. And he was convicted in a court and sentenced Friday to 6 years and 9 months in jail for his corruption during his time as mayor.
God.
Now, he does
how
not.
long?
6 years and 9 months. Interesting. Now, here's the thing. He's already served his sentence. He spent the last 6 years under house arrest.
Oh, my
While he was
God.
waiting trial. So this is part of a plea deal now, like time served, and he's free to go. But can you imagine
I think I would sign up for
spending
that deal,
6
actually.
years under house arrest?
It'd be my dream. My literal, actual fantasy. Sexual fantasy. It's my fantasy to be on house arrest for that long. Woodsy, you can't go anywhere. Okay, sounds good to me. It's great. Now, here's the thing. So imagine you steal how much?
$5 million.
$5 million bucks. They start investigating. Yeah, we're going to put you on house arrest. You get all the way through it. You're guilty. Yeah, but you've already sat in your house for 6 years. You're good. You're off the hook. So he got $5 million bucks to sit at home. He was paid $5 million to sit at home.
He
had
was
to do
fined
restitution.
$507,000. I can't imagine to just let him keep all the other $4.5 million he stole. That's a real good deal.
I give you $5 million. You have to stay at home for 6 years. Done. I get out. I pop out when I'm 54.
It's better than like Big Brother.
Bro, I could manage the Tier 1 games on Zoom. No problem. I mean, my kids, I'll see you every day. That'll be home. This is actually not the worst thing I've ever
Mondesi, of course, was the 1994 Rookie of the Year, part of that run of Dodgers Rookie of the Years in the mid-'90s. As an All-Star in 1995, won 2 Gold Glove awards, and his son actually played in the big leagues as well.
Yeah.
Alberto Mondesi was a shortstop.
Do you remember the cannon that dude had from right field? I mean, the absolute...
Saw it back at the queue a few times.
Absolute hose piece from right field that he was just on a line. He was a good player. Really good player. All right, I'll go to the NFL where this is NFL in a nutshell. Every single offseason, Pittsburgh cornerback Cameron Sutton suspended 8 games without pay, violated the NFL's personal conduct policy. Now, he was actually wanted by the law for a few weeks earlier in the year, and because he was charged with misdemeanor battery, he beat up a woman and has, he's done his court and everything else, and the NFL is going to suspend him for 8 games and not pay him. And he said, his quote when they asked him about it, he said, "My job is not to appeal to someone else. My job is to be the best version of myself. How do I give that off to the mass, or do I give that off to everyone around me? I'm in full control of that. I'm never worried about a narrative." Everybody goes through adversity. Everybody goes through things in their life that can change in both directions. So it's all about how you stand on that and what you do from that. He was in the first year of a three-year, $33 million deal, and he's going to be
so that's a pretty significant suspension.
100%
for a player.
Yeah.
Wow,
half. I mean, for a very significant crime as well. And that's the thing, man. That's the thing. We talk about it a lot on this program. And I did see as an addendum. Marcell Ozuna is going to be participating in the Home Run Derby, and I did see a lot of chatter about it online yesterday. And people are saying, well, if he's playing in the league, then if you allow him to play based on he got a DUI, and then we all saw the video of him and his wife just beating each other up. He had the cast on. Remember that? It was horrible. And but people are saying, well, yeah, he's allowed to play in the league. Should we feature him in the exhibition that everybody's going to be watching? Is he one of the guys we want to feature for Major League Baseball?
Allowing him to play Major League Baseball
is one thing.
It is different to
I feel the
invite
same.
him
Yes.
to an exhibition. It's even different than, if you got voted into the All-Star game.
Right.
I don't know that you would but you can't come
Right,
necessarily.
because you're letting them play.
There's no rules as to who can, and, it's not like, he hit 21 home runs, so he has to go to the home run derby. There's no rules in place
The home run
that
derby,
says
you're
who
making
is
a
and is
choice.
not invited.
Correct.
They're making a conscious choice to invite him.
To prop him up there,
Right.
and
that is troublesome.
Yeah, it is.
No doubt about it.
As Paulie's wife just said in the chat, it is a tale as old as time, and it absolutely is. Absolutely is. And you got a really good.
I think you're going to like this.
I will love this.
DD mega doo-doo.
A little do this. Sometimes I think the Padres might be on this road occasionally. So this story comes from the Sioux City Explorers from the American Association of Professional Baseball. It's an independent baseball league, but it is an MLB partner league. So got some guys who still have dreams of, latching onto a club and making pro baseball. So they had over the weekend, they had to use 10 pitching arms in just 2 games. Deep into the bullpens, I think maybe some extra innings, and
sounds familiar.
They ran out of pitching. And when I say they ran out of pitching, they literally ran out of pitching. They filled out the lineup card for the game 2 hours before the game. The director of broadcasting said, Dan Vaughn, sent the lineup. They had all the other 8 names on there, then a big question mark where the pitcher's name is going to be.
A literal mark.
Big question mark. Like, who's it going to be? Wait, we don't know. We have the lineup card is submitted. We still don't know who is pitching in 2 hours. We have no arms that can go or who are ready 2 hours before game time. So here was their solution. They knew that a guy who was about 10 miles away was volunteering at a music festival. He is a state representative in Iowa. His name is Dan Skoltens, or J.D. Skolten, and he used to be a pitcher. He's 44 years old now, but he had pitched for the team before in the past, and they said, can you make it here in the next 2 hours, suit up and throw a game for us? We need a pitcher badly.
It's the most adult league thing I've ever heard in my life.
And he said, yeah, I can be there. So he not only showed up, put on the Sioux City Explorers uniform, 44 years old, has been out of baseball for several years. Went 6 2/3 innings, allowed just 2 runs. In an 11-2 win. Got not only the win, but a quality start.
That is unbelievable.
It's like those stories when they pull like the play-by-play guy down to play goalie for some independent team, and it's just incredible. That's an incredible story.
Says walking through the tunnel again, didn't realize how much that made me start getting nervous, but once you get on the mound, it's 60 feet 6 inches. After the first inning, I was able to relax a lot more. Luckily, the boys got me some runs. I was able to get some innings because they were stretched a little bit thin in the bullpen.
6 2/3?
Yep, 2
That
runs.
is brilliant.
Got a standing ovation as he walked off the mound.
His wife's like, oh, God, you're going to do it again, aren't you? You're going back, aren't you? You're going back. I knew you would. You said you would fill in for 1 game. Holy cow. I wonder if he's done. I don't know. I wonder if they are having meetings about bringing him back.
In a way, to just walk off and that was the end would be fantastic.
Incredible
but
story.
Wouldn't you want to know if I could just do it again? I mean, he's 44. He's not.
No, he ain't going anywhere.
He's not going anywhere.
But
He's already
still.
elected official. He's moved on to his new life, his new career.
That's incredible.
But he got to relive his glory days one more time, and it went really well for J.D. Skolten.
God, what a cool story.
And do this for a Tuesday.
That was Don't Do This with Ben and Woods on 97.3 The Fan.
By the way, I missed it earlier, but Take On Woods was brought to you by Valvoline Instant Oil Change. Only takes 15 minutes. You don't have to get out of your car. For directions and discounts, go to SoCalOilChange.com. That's SoCalOilChange.com. When we come back, all right, I think I knew this was coming. But the injuries finally starting to catch up to the Padres a little bit. What can they do about it now that we're starting to see the replacements running a little bit thin? Do we have any state representatives that can pop in and perhaps pitch a game for the Padres? Don't know. But they're getting kind of desperate now. Trade deadline's coming up. What can the Padres do about it? We'll get to that next with Ben and Woods on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. Baseball coverage at 97.3 The Fan is presented by T-Mobile. Switch to T-Mobile. You can get tons of benefits. Still save on every plan versus AT&T and Verizon. Use their savings calculator to find out how at T-Mobile.com/switch. Padres have some clear needs going into the trade deadline later this month, but not as clear is exactly the best way to try to fill them. It's not as simple as go out and get this, and you're done, because they also have players who may or may not be returning that could impact the decisions that A.J. Preller needs to make over the next couple of weeks.
It's interesting you say that, because yesterday Tim Flannery, Ben, talked about, we asked him about the Giants teams, right? And he said, remember last year? Do you remember what we talked about down the stretch last year? When we did a little playoff preview, okay, the Texas Rangers are in. They're not going to go very far because of their bullpen. Their bullpen is absolute garbage, and they're just not going to go very far. How'd that work out for them? It went great. And Flan actually said, yeah, you know why? He said, Boch managing a bullpen in October is different than Boch managing a bullpen for 162. You take that fifth starter, he then goes, and there's more bullets for guys. There's more opportunities. There's more
off days.
More off days. Yeah, and yeah, that's exactly what he said. You get the time off. He said that's a different animal entirely. But Benny, I don't know who would start. I don't know who would start for us. Dylan Cease game 1, Matt Waldron game 2 in the 3-game series, and Michael King, and then after that, what do you do? What do you do? There's a lot of what ifs about the San Diego Padres, and honestly, I don't think it should stop you at all from going out and being as aggressive as you're financially able to be.
But I agree with you. Where do you focus the most aggression, though? That's the question here.
I honestly think most aggression.
Let's hold on to the thought. We're going to check traffic, and we're going to discuss this coming up next year with Ben and Woods on 97.3 The Fan.
From the 97.3 The Fan Traffic Center, here's Kelly Danick.
Traffic is sponsored by Robert Half. Got a 3-vehicle accident now on the westbound King Freeway right before the 805. It's got the fast lane blocked. I'm Kelly Danick with Ben and Woods, San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
9 out of 10 hiring managers are having difficulty hiring. Robert Half is here to help. Our recruiting professionals utilize an award-winning AI to connect businesses with highly skilled talent. At Robert Half, we know talent. Visit roberthalf.com/talent today.
So somehow the Padres, despite an increasing rash of injuries, have managed to play their best baseball of the season, essentially over the last month, where they've gone from, 4 or 5 games under 500 to 4 or 5 games over 500. And they've done it basically thanks to unlikely contributions from players that, at least as fans, we weren't expecting to see those contributions from. Kyle Higashioka stepping up, our guest later in the show today, and hitting just a bunch of home runs that you could have never expected. From the pitching staff, Matt Waldron has obviously been a huge find and addition for the San Diego Padres to try to bridge the gap while Joe Musgrove and Yu Darvish are on the injured list. And even in the bullpen, been a couple of surprises like Jeremiah Estrada, who's pitched well. Adrian Morejon, none of us really had him figured to be a critical member of the bullpen. But that doesn't change the equation that all 3 areas of the Padres, starting pitching, bullpen, and lineup, are being hit by injuries, and we're seeing it. We saw it on Saturday, I thought in particular, when the Padres gave up the 3 in the top of the 10th, then loaded the bases, scored a run. But the bottom of the lineup was coming up, including Bryce Johnson, a guy who, and again, I don't have anything against Bryce Johnson, but not an everyday major league player, not someone you want to see up in a situation like that. And it finally came to the point that in a big moment, wasn't Jurickson Profar stepping to the plate this time. Wasn't Manny Machado stepping to the plate or Luis Arraez. It was Bryce Johnson, and he was overmatched in that at-bat.
Honestly, there was they cut to, they were making the pitching change or whatever it was, but they cut to the on-deck circle. My man had his head between his legs, like he was praying at that point.
Not his fault. He's been forced into a situation that you don't want him to be into, which says, okay, Padres need an outfielder.
Yeah.
I mean, but, when will Fernando Tatis Jr. be back? You don't want to spend a ton of capital on a rental who then you don't need for the last month and a half of the season or the playoffs, who's just going to be maybe a bench piece. So, all right, well, then you need to focus it on starting pitching.
You do need a bench piece.
Well, you do.
You do. It just doesn't have to be, you don't have to go get a starting caliber right fielder right now. I don't think.
Maybe not. It would help, but if it comes at the expense of a starting pitcher,
can't do it.
You can't do that. So you need a starting pitcher right now because Adam Mazur is supposed to go again tonight against an all-star and Logan Gilbert. You can't love that matchup if you're the San Diego Padres. Randy Vasquez has pitched pretty decently the last few times out, but you're asking a lot of these guys. Michael King's innings are climbing.
He's
beyond
one over
beyond where he's ever been before. So you definitely need a starting pitcher. Except maybe Joe Musgrove and Yu Darvish do come back later this year, and now you're adding a starting now.
But that's okay.
You can't count on it, but that's just depth. So maybe it's the bullpen where you need the help the most. You absolutely need a higher end leverage reliever to add to that bullpen, which we saw over the weekend. Just the massive struggles at the bullpen, especially on the back end. Except don't forget, about 5 days ago, before we went on our 4th of July break, Padres bullpen was locked in, better than they had been all season. I mean, they'd gone almost a week without allowing a run, and okay, these guys are finally coming around. A.J. Preller has a dilemma on his hands because he has needs everywhere, but he also has some guys who have performed well everywhere, which makes it really, I think, tough to decide where to prioritize your absolute biggest need going into the trade deadline.
It's got to be pitching and starter, reliever, whatever. And I know that's different, and the capital's going to be more or less for either of those positions. But our buddy Letters to AJ, who just put out, the timing is impeccable, Benny, just put out a really, really brilliant blog, as he always does. If you're not giving him a follow him on Twitter. His blog is amazing. But he said, now listen, he said, interestingly, the Padres have won the last 6 games where either Vasquez or Mazur have made the start. Well, because they scored 7, 6, 9, 9, 6, and 10 runs in those games. Don't see that happening tonight off of Logan Gilbert necessarily. Stranger things have happened, but they're picking up their lower-level starting pitchers with offense, Ben. He said, it doesn't look likely that the solution to the back end of the rotation woes will come from the currently rostered players. Brito, sent down to AAA to stretch out as a starter, Ben. He's got a 16.20 ERA in his first 2 starts. He has not gotten through 3 innings in either start. Vasquez and Mazur could take a leap. Musgrove could return. Johnny Brito could suddenly find it clicking. Those outcomes are improbable. Hoping that something improbable occurs is the opposite of a plan. It's a brilliant quote. Hope is not a strategy. It's just not. A.J. Preller cannot hope.
And A.J.'s not the kind of GM who relies on hope.
He's really not.
He usually relies on overkill.
Stuff the pantry and we'll eat our way through it, right?
Yeah.
Like let's stuff the refrigerator here and somebody's going to eat it. We'll need it at some point. And I agree with that. But again, this isn't the A.J. Preller of old where he's like, yeah, I've got 30 top-end prospects I can trade. You've already traded a ton.
But I think the problem here is that you can only go shopping for items that are on the shelves.
Correct.
And there's a lot of shoppers. There's not a lot of items on the shelves. So you're going to be paying really high prices. We know that. And the more things you need to acquire, it makes it even harder to decide, well, I mean, yeah, this team wants this for my starting pitcher, but this other team wants the same thing for the relief pitcher, and this other team wants the same thing for an outfielder. I can't trade the same guy to 3 different teams. I got to decide which one is going to get them and which area I need to prioritize to get the player I actually want. And then maybe, you get a couple of roll the dice, lesser guys, the Rich Hill, G-Man Choi pickups as well. You're not going to get a premium starter, a premium reliever, and a premium bat, outfielder at the trade deadline. No team is going to get all 3 of those. You don't have the capital to get the best player at every position at the trade deadline here. So you're going to have to choose which area you're going to need to focus on as this trade deadline comes up. For me, it's still starting pitching. And, the hope will be the strategy in some of the other areas. I know a lot of people say it's bullpen, but to me, the season falls apart fastest if you lose starting pitching. We saw it in 2021. You can't go down that road again. They need another starting pitcher, no matter how quickly they think Yu Darvish might come off the restricted list or Joe Musgrove could return in August. You can't, like you said, hope is not a strategy, especially when it comes to starting pitching.
The guys down there, the Yuki Matsuis of the world, the Wandy Peraltas of the world, the Enyel De Los Santoses of the world. I mean, they're here. Wandy's here for a while. He needs to make an adjustment, get something figured out. Easy for me to sit here in my chair and say that, but we are counting on those guys for big innings, down the stretch. Again, with the lack of starting pitching, the bullpen has really, really got to step up here. And if not, they need to be replaced. But how do you replace them?
Offensively, the problem here is Xander Bogaerts is about ready to return. It could happen in the next couple of days, could happen by Friday.
It could happen
today.
Like today.
He's in town, right?
He's in town.
He went 2 for 11 in his AAA rehab with El Paso, had a double in his last start. So
Brett Sullivan posted a picture on his Instagram story with Xander
his kid,
and all the guys in there.
But here's the thing. This doesn't solve any of your problems. Bringing Xander back, well, not just that he can't pitch, but who does it then push to the bench?
I know.
You could put Jake back to second, and Luis Ariz can DH. And that's if Manny is healthy enough to play third, because if he's not and needs a day off, then Manny needs to DH, which means Xander coming back just pushes Xander, Jake, or Ariz to the bench, and that's not good for your offense. You need someone who can play the outfield. Is there someone who can play out of position? I mean, I love Donovan Solano's bat. Where are you going to put him in the lineup? Are you going to put him out in the outfield? Can he play outfield? I mean, David Peralta has been out there against righties. You can put him out there, a little bit in the outfield and not think it's going to be a disaster. But against a righty, to have a lefty out there like, Bryce Johnson's your best fielder, but he gives you nothing offensively.
Give me Cronenworth out there in right field holding it down.
Eggy's been playing, I think, one day in the outfield in AAA.
Threw out a guy
at third for
really
right field. Got a great arm, but is he ready on the big league level after one day in the outfield?
People are saying Kim to the bench. I don't know that you can yank and I know he's
Xander back to short and Kim to the bench.
Maybe. Kim is a bench player.
Kim to the outfield.
They
talked about it when they first acquired him.
They did,
and then they never did it. Xander coming back. While it's great to have Xander back, especially if he can perform at all like Xander offensively, doesn't really solve your problem. And that is you are an outfielder short still until Fernando Tatis Jr. returns.
Yeah, it's tough, man. It's tough. But again, the offense, you can figure out a way to get your best bats in the lineup. That you can figure it out. That is one thing you can figure out. You have a good with
really though, as long as you need 3 outfielders out there.
But guys need days off. But
still. Until Tatis comes back, you need 3 outfielders, and one of them is not going to be a great offensive player, and perhaps not even a great defensive player either, is the problem. And Xander coming back doesn't solve that issue.
So
at
you
all.
look at tonight. Let's just look at tonight against a tough right-hander.
Right.
David Peralta is your right fielder tonight.
Maybe.
You should be.
Bryce Johnson has been out there a ton because Mike Schilt trusts his defense.
Oh.
I mean, how many runs do you need with Adam Major on the mound? As you said, is it 6? Is it 8? Is it 10? Now, Seattle has not been good offensively. Maybe this is the game where Adam Major can get locked in and hold them to a couple of runs and give you a chance to win a lower scoring game, because you're probably not going to score a ton against an all-star like Logan Gilbert. Just not. It's a tough dilemma that AJ Preller is in here right now with his roster.
It is. Yeah, I mean, look, Kimmy and everybody wants him on the bench. He's still got 10 bombs. He's stolen 17 bags. He's hitting better. He's not chasing.
Last month, he's been pretty darn good.
He's not striking out. He's
barreling
walking
the
a
ball
ton.
a lot lately. I mean, I don't want to take Ha-Seong Kim out of the lineup right now. He's been way better than he was earlier in the season.
I really don't either. I really, really don't either. And again, look, he's a better defensive shortstop than anybody else that we have right now. And I know he hasn't had his best year defensively, but he is a better defensive shortstop than anybody else.
Jose says the infield will be fresher with Xander back. Great. That's true. You can get days off for Manny and Jake and Luis Ariz and Xander, but then they're out of the lineup, and you still have either Bryce Johnson in there or you have David Peralta's defense in there. And let's be honest, David Peralta had one big home run. It hasn't exactly been Donovan Solano in terms of the pickup. Solano was an unbelievable pickup by A.J. Preller. Unbelievably good. Can't believe that guy wasn't on another team at any point. Just maybe the under-the-radar pickup of the year in Major League Baseball.
Yeah, he's been great.
But David Peralta hasn't been that good.
No.
Had a really big home run. That was great.
Yep, that was awesome.
I like him. I love his attitude.
I do too. He's great.
Terrific.
Great piece to have off the bench. Yeah.
Not an everyday player. Bryce Johnson's not an everyday player. Tyler Wade's not an everyday player. One of them has to be in the lineup every day, though, because you need an outfielder out there, unless you're playing someone out of position, which they have not done yet, for the most part.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a tough call. But I mean, again, I was just scrolling through this blog again, talking about Major. I mean, he gives up a ton. a ton of hard hit balls. I mean, again,
you're talking to the Adam Major shouldn't be here, number one, waving that flag for a long time.
Yeah,
and I think the Padres know it too.
Yeah,
they don't have any other options.
They just don't have any other options.
Jennifer says trade for Randy Arozarena. Okay, well Arozarena's been not good this year. That makes him available and maybe lowers the price tag
a little.
But let's say you focus and do that. Okay, so now you've got Randy Arozarena in your lineup for the next month. Then Tatis comes back. Well, what about the other holes then you didn't fill?
What about Tirso how do I say it? Tirso Ornelas? Yeah. He's been mashing
Give him a try.
right now. Give him a shot. What do you get hurt, man? Go for broke, He swings it from the left side, doesn't he?
I don't know. Is that go for broke or is that just hoping?
That's hoping.
Hope's not a strategy.
Don't we definitely feel that he's a better option at the dish than Bryce Johnson?
Probably, yes.
I found myself kind of softening on the Garrett Crochet idea, but does Tommy Pham also being on that team possibly make it an enticing trade package for
Tommy
AJ Preller?
Pham's pretty ideal because he can start every day, and then he would be a good bench, fiery guy for a playoff run. I mean, not the worst idea.
Yeah.
I'm not saying they have to package him with Crochet.
But here's the
deal. They could go out and just get Tommy Pham.
When you have Crochet, I was DMing with a guy about it last night. He said, we should be skipping Major and starting King on 4 days rest. I said, Michael King is not the guy they're going to ride.
Right.
He's already one inning over his career high. Now, he's been really good, and I love him, and I think I'm confident when he's on the mound. I really am.
They love to see a chance to push back King and skip him, and he'll probably be at the back of the rotation when they come out of the All-Star break.
September, not necessarily July.
Yeah, 100%. So it looked like Texas may be open for business soon, Ben. There's a couple of names on there that could be interesting. But AJ's, the dude is, promise you, he's not sleeping much right now. Because, again, we said this yesterday, and I know you agree with this. Every year, AJ has gone for it. Do you agree that this team, of all teams that we've seen in the last 6 years that we've been covering, don't they deserve a shot? They deserve it. They do.
Yes,
they've earned it. Yes.
They may not be the most talented, but they're not.
They earned it.
But they have certainly earned some faith and some backing from the front office.
Yeah, no doubt.
All right, we'll come back. Jesse Agler is going to join us in our 8 o'clock hour. Don't forget Kyle Higashioka in studio in our 9 o'clock hour. All ahead with Ben and Woods on 97.3 The Fan.
All right, we are halfway home on a Tuesday. Ben and Woods, 97.3. The Fan. The Flan yesterday. Tim Flannery joined us. I didn't even make that
You
joke
never,
yesterday.
not
Like an
once, on the
idiot.
Flan?
No, 97.3 The Flan. I didn't do it. He was spectacular. One of those, look, I rarely say, hey, you need to go back and listen. If you missed it, you need to go back and listen. It was really, really good stuff. The stories he told from his many, many years in the big leagues were just spectacular. The Boch stories. I mean, Benny, I'll tell you one in a minute. I'll introduce the show. I'm Woodsy. That's Paul Reindl, the executive producer. You are Benjamin Higgins, your friendly neighborhood sports anchor. There's a really great story he told because we were talking about bunting. And he was the bunt doctor. He was the guy who had to teach all the pitchers how to bunt.
You're the bunt
hater.
I'm
the bunt hater.
It's awkward.
Yeah. I've just leaned into the bit at this point. The other night when Crony had that safety squeeze, my Twitter feed just went bing, 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 bing. And I'm like, bunting for a hit is cool. Bunting for a hit is cool. Flan, it was different. Pitchers had to hit, so he had to teach them to bunt.
I mean, compared to most teams, I think the Padres are pretty good bunters, actually.
Yeah, they get it
They get
down.
the job done most of the time.
A lot of
if they
times
want
they
to.
don't get the run in, though. And for me, it's always situational. Right. It's always situational. Like Jurickson. We're down 2-0 in the fifth. You're my 3-hole hitter. I need you hacking, bro. And he's like, that's the way we play. That's the way I've played in Curacao. Mike Schilt lets me play that way. Great. Okay. So it's funny. We asked Flan about Boch and what were his thoughts. The Giants of old, they had a team meeting without Boch, just the players. And they said, hey, we're going to bunt more. But bunt on your own.
Don't tell the
don't
coaches.
tell the manager. And Flan said, because their pitching was so good, he's like, we're in Colorado, and Marco Scutero lays down a sack bunt in the third inning, and Boch is like screaming at me, and he's like,
hanging over the dugout.
Hanging over the dugout. Did you call that? And he goes, I didn't call it. He goes, so after the game, he goes into Boch's office. He goes, they had a meeting without you, dude. I had nothing to do. They're doing this on their own. They wanted to get all of their starting pitchers a run or two because they knew that the guys would go out and shove. They wanted to get them a lead. And he's like, yeah, they had a meeting behind your back. That's how, because they wanted to bunt more. So it was great. The stories, the insight, all of that was spectacular yesterday. I really, really enjoyed that. So go back and listen if you are so able.
I mean, I can see the appeal as a player, especially if you're a good bunter. It's a low risk way to make you feel like you're helping your team.
It is such a lift to get the ass pats after that.
Yep.
Woods, great job.
You get the pats on the back, you move the runner into scoring position, and you know what you do? You put the pressure squarely on someone else.
Yeah.
The next guy who now has to come in with 2 outs and try to get a single and drive in that runner from second base.
Did my job.
I don't know that that's your job, though, as a Major League Baseball player. Maybe as a college baseball player.
Not a 3-hole hitter.
Maybe as a little leaguer. But as a Major League Baseball player, your job is not to pass the buck to someone else to come through an even tougher pressure situation with now 2 outs and a guy on second. Thanks a lot, dude. I guarantee you that there are some thoughts in the head of the guy in the on-deck circle going, I don't want you to bunt this guy over to second and add to what is already a pressure at bat for me. Thanks a lot.
I know. And again, it was fantastic stuff. And, again, guys are trying to do a lot. And he was talking about the Padres' approach this year. He said it's the same type of guys that they had with the Giants. They just want to feel like they're helping. And so inherently it's a good thing, right? They want to feel like they're doing their job and getting guys in, getting guys over. Problem is you got to get those guys in. Once you get them over, you got to get them in. And that's been a little bit of a bugaboo. I was texting with Jesse Agler. We're going to be joined by Jesse in about 30 minutes. I texted him the other day in the middle of a game about bunting, and he starts firing stats at me about Profar. And I think Profar's been successful. I think we've scored runs 50% of the time with him and maybe 33% of the time when Merrill did it. And he's like, I see what you're saying, but I think it's recency bias on your part.
All right, Joey in the chat says, that's what taking a walk is, Benjamin, essentially passing the buck onto the next guy. No. A walk doesn't add to the 3 precious outs
Correct.
that you get every inning.
It doesn't give up an out.
It doesn't count against your outs. A sacrifice bunt does. It's a third of your out. 33%
I play with Joey.
of your valuable outs.
Joey does not like to walk. So I know exactly where he's coming from.
I'm okay with walks. Walks are good. Sacrifice bunts, I tend to think towards Woods' side of the equation.
Yeah,
not
they're just
that valuable.
Hey, man, at time and place, certainly. First and second, 8th inning, 9th inning, you're up 1, down 1, no problem, man. Drop it down, see the next next guy can get it over or get him in. No big deal, especially if it's Tyler Wade, if it's Bryce Johnson, whatever, fine. But if it's Jurickson Profar and Jackson Merrill, I want you swinging the bat. Manny Machado, I want you swinging the bat. Fernando Tatis, Xander Bogaerts, I want you swinging the bat. That's what you get paid. They don't pay the best bunters on the planet $30 million a year to blink to get the ass pats after moving a guy over.
Do you hate the extra inning runner on second, bunting him over to third?
I kind of do.
Top of the inning or bottom of the inning? All right.
Well,
so
if you're playing for a tie, then you want to maybe get. But again, he's in scoring. He's in scoring position.
I generally think it's not a great idea because, all right, let's say you're the top of the inning. I think the only argument would be, all right, it's the top of the inning. We've got our closer. We still haven't used our closer.
Right, he's ready to go.
And he could possibly strand that runner out at second. So if we get our runner in, we got a chance to win it. But if it's the bottom of the inning, you've already probably used your closer. So it's more than likely you're going to need 2 runs to win the game, not 1. And a bunt moving a guy over from second to third is not helping you score the 2 runs you probably need to win that game. So you're generally not in favor of it.
You're banking on him scoring on the fly, the sac fly,
right? Yeah, which is not
number
guarantee
2 now.
either. Yeah.
Whereas he's going to probably score on a base hit from second,
more than likely,
unless it's shallow. But then you have 2 on with nobody out. Right. Like I'm with you on that.
Yeah, sure. I just again, if it's 1-0 in the 10th inning and you're on second base and you have a chance to move him over, maybe try it. But also you can hit a single and he's probably going to score. It's just giving up outs. They're so precious, and I think, like I said, time and place for it. Time and place, certainly. But people in the chat talking about Xander Bogaerts coming back. We've been talking about that this morning. Yeah, I mean, again, your hope for Xander is that he returns to even just a little bit of the form that he had while he was in Boston. I hope this time away did him some good. Watching how his guys have grinded and played without him, wanting to be a part of that. I have a good feeling about it. I said it last week. I don't know why I do. I just do. I have a feeling he's going to come back and play well. I've eaten my words many times. I don't want to eat them this time, though. I want to be right.
I would expect him to be activated, possibly today.
Yeah.
I mean, if he's in town, he was in El Paso over the weekend on a rehab assignment, so we know he's in San Diego. He wouldn't be here if he wasn't going to.
I don't disagree with you, Woods, but I would caution Padres fans to have a little patience.
You're going to have to
when it comes to Xander coming back. If he doesn't look like Xander in the first week, like before the All-Star break, doesn't mean he won't ever. He hasn't played in a couple of months. Wasn't necessarily locked in before that either. You're going to have to give him some time. He went down to AAA. What has he played? 3 games in AAA?
Not that it matters, but forgive me if I'm wrong. Wasn't he starting to heat up?
He was.
When
he was starting to heat up a little bit. Yeah, he was definitely swinging the bat a little bit better. But to think that he's going to come back, Tatis is, especially earlier in his career, had a couple of stints where he'd come off injured list, not playing, or COVID, and then have a 3-home-run game, 2-home-run game, will look incredible. That's the anomaly. What usually happens is guys take a few days against big league pitching now to kind of get their timing, everything locked in. I don't think that you can fairly expect Xander to just come in guns a-blazing and, putting up a 950 OPS for the first, 5 games here before the All-Star break. If, in fact, he is back today, maybe it's tomorrow, maybe it's Friday. I don't know when it's going to be. Does seem like it's going to be sooner, though, rather than later here.
Yeah, I mean, look, it's at some point he needs to start playing like the guy that we went out and signed, the Silver Slugger, Xander Bogaerts. And, with the injury, he's healthy. I know he wasn't lighting the world on fire in El Paso. It doesn't mean anything. We've seen the opposite happen. Guys light it up in El Paso, can't hit big league pitching. Xander has a track record. Not so far in San Diego, really. I mean, he was okay last year. Like, he was better than people, I think, gave him credit for. But, yeah, we need that from him, man. Because, again, he's been a guy that's been through the stretch runs and World Series and all that. Like, he's a winner. Like, he knows exactly what it takes. So the fact that he's coming back in the next couple of days, I think I'm gonna rest on the side of I'm excited about it. This is good for the team. Yeah, it's going to make Mike Schultz's job and A.J. Preller's job with the holistic lineup a little bit more difficult, but it also lengthens your lineup when you get a guy like that back. So I realize that there's a weird position shortage there, but it's up to them to figure it out, and if not, they're going to have to find somebody, Ben, to replace the guys out in the outfield. But I'm totally with you. I'm going to err on the side of he's going to come back and hopefully do some damage.
Keep in mind, Padres are going to be going up against some tough pitching
really
for this last week before the All-Star break. We mentioned today Logan Gilbert for the Mariners. He's an All-Star. Really exciting. There was a video of him calling his family and letting them know that he made the All-Star team. Tomorrow is Bryce Miller, another good young pitcher for the Mariners who's got a sub-4 ERA. Maybe not dominant, but certainly has been a solid starting pitcher now for going on 2 seasons for the Seattle Mariners. And then this weekend, you've got the Atlanta Braves. Now they've tinkered with their rotation a little bit, including Chris Sale got skipped over yesterday, but he is supposed to pitch today, which would put him in line to pitch on Sunday against Dylan Cease. The other two a little more up in the air. Right now, ESPN has Spencer Schwellenbach listed for Friday night's game. He is a right-hander. And then they have...
Sounds like a 2-hit shutout.
Yeah,
and then they have Reynaldo Lopez, who's been very good.
Really good.
Scheduled for Saturday's game for the Braves to wrap up the first half of the season.
The converted reliever that everyone was worried about. He wasn't going to be able to handle the starting pitcher workload, and he has done that and then some for the Atlanta Braves. So, yeah, man, it does not get any easier for this team. And I said it yesterday, Benny, you weren't here. Razor's edge, really. I do feel like they are on the razor's edge right now with all the injuries, with the you being on the restricted list, the depth issues right now. I do feel like it's a little bit of a razor's edge. It can really
and give them credit. I mean,
they have been for a while.
Usually when a team's on that razor's edge of injury, you're hoping they can tread water, and they've actually done better than that. Despite the injuries, they played good baseball. But that hasn't taken them off the razor's edge.
Correct.
Still squarely there.
Teetering.
Getting Bogaerts' help, as we mentioned earlier, it helps a little
bit,
but doesn't really address any of the real issues, which is outfield, bullpen, and starting pitching. None of those issues are addressed by the return of Xander Bogaerts this week.
Yeah, not really. Not really at all.
All right, coming up in this half of the program, mention our guest, Jesse Agler, Kyle Higashioka. Also has some giveaways. We got some Padres tickets to give away coming up against the Seattle Mariners for tomorrow's game. That's one of those not quite day, not quite night games tomorrow.
I'll be there.
It's a 3:40 first pitch.
It's the 1984 day. They're honoring the 1984 team. Tim Flannery going to sing the national anthem tomorrow.
Oh, very nice. Play the national anthem?
Yeah, play it and sing it.
Very cool.
We're going to do the whole family going. Can't wait.
But when we come back, speaking of playing, we're going to give away some tickets to John Fogerty at the Shell.
Name that tune.
And Woodsy's got his guitar here for Kyle Higashioka's appearance. We're going to play a little John Fogerty. Name that tune. But remember, it's not going to sound exactly like John Fogerty because it's Woods.
Yeah, I'm not
Fogerty.
that good.
So you're going to have to try to think deeply and identify the Fogerty song. But if you want to get on the line and be a contestant, we need a full line of contestants because you get one guess. Woodsy plays the tune. Name it, and you can win the tickets. Coming up next, 833-288-0973, 833-288-0973. You're going to take on Woods with Woods. Coming up next on 97.3 The Fan. Tell me about your guitar, the one you brought in, Woods. By the way, you can call in right now for your chance to win the Fogarty tickets by identifying Woods playing Fogarty/CCR here in a couple of minutes. But this is a fairly special guitar.
Yeah, it is. We've all heard the story of the Terminator, right? We tell it every
Christmas
year.
extravaganza.
Christmas and holiday extravaganza. I really wanted an electric guitar when I was a little kid. And my dad, for Christmas, bought me a guitar called the Terminator. And it was a 9-volt battery-powered electric guitar with a speaker that was built in, like in the upper right part of it. And I was so disappointed because
mid '80s.
Yeah, it's just like I was probably 12. You know,
yeah,
so
mid to late 80s.
Yeah, I mean, I just wanted to play Poison and Rat and
It's
everything.
like
else.
the play school version of
Yeah,
an
it's exactly what it
electric
was.
guitar.
It was like the play school version. You know, my old man was doing his best. He didn't know. And I remember being so disappointed. And of course, we've had so much fun with it over the years. So one year, he for my birthday, he said, "Hey, meet me for lunch." And I said, "All right." So I went and had lunch with him. I was working, like I think I was in radio sales at the time. And he says, "Come meet me for lunch." So I met him, and he goes, "Oh, before you leave, I got a birthday present for you." So I go out to the car. He opens up the trunk, and there's this case with this. It says Fender on it, and I went, "Oh, what the hell is this?" And I open it up, and there's this beautiful, beautiful Fender Stratocaster in there, American made. It is stunning. It is a beautiful guitar. Now, it's completely wasted on me because I am straight rhythm. I don't play a lot of licks and stuff.
You don't make it cry or
I don't
sing.
make it cry or sing. I'm strictly rhythm. But I love it, and I will pass it down to one of my kids, whoever wants it. And it's just it's a beautiful thing. Now the funny story is it's because it's my dad. He got a deal on it, and
because an old guitar is all he can afford.
So he was in. I think he was in Chicago. And he was like, I'm gonna go walk in this guitar store. I've got some time to kill. And there was this guitar, and it's cool. It's like what color would you say that is?
I'd call that almost a baby blue.
Baby blue, mint.
No, I like mint.
Mint. So he walks in, and there was like he started talking to the guy. He's like, my son plays, and I want to give him a good one. Yeah, Periwinkle. And he says, I want to give him a guitar. And he goes, you know what's funny? He goes, I'll make you a good deal on this one. I made this for Jay Giles from the Jay Giles band. And he didn't like
Centerfold.
it. He didn't like the color. Like there was something about it he didn't like, and he's like, so they sold it. So my dad got a good deal on it because it's my dad. My dad and Ben are very, very alike. It's scary. So, I mean, bro, I'll take it. I'll absolutely take it. But it is, it's a beautiful, beautiful guitar, and I wish I was better at playing it.
So you brought it in. We've got Kyle Higashioka, who's also a guitar player,
he's like a
who's
shredder,
supposed to
though.
join us in studio in our next hour. We thought, well, we're giving away these Fogarty tickets coming to the Rady Show on September 4th. Tickets are on sale now at Ticketmaster.com, but we thought, why not do something fun to give them away? So we got callers on the line. We're going to bring you on the air. Woods is going to play kind of like 2-second song version,
like
a
2-second
lick.
song.
And you need to identify the Fogarty/CCR song that he's trying to play, at least, for your chance to win. So let's bring on our first contestant. We got Andrew. Andrew, you there?
I'm here.
All right.
What's up,
if you can
Andrew?
identify the Fogarty song here, then you can win the tickets. Woodsy, you are up. Andrew, listen closely. Not bad. I kind of got it. Andrew, what song is that?
Come on. I see bad moon rising.
Yes, sir!
One and
Look at that.
done. Well done, Andrew. Stay on the line. Paul will get your information.
Never been the biggest Fogarty.
Okay, can we talk about center field?
We can.
It's an awkward baseball song. It doesn't quite resonate with a real diehard baseball fan. I think it's supposed to, but I don't quite feel it. I don't feel his love for baseball necessarily in that song.
My 6-year-old loves it. Loves it.
Yeah, it's that's the kind of target demographic for center field, isn't it?
Do you think he hates playing it? Because my guess is that he absolutely does.
Maybe.
Do you
Yeah,
think-
I get
does
the
he still
sense that he
play
doesn't
it?
love
Let's
it.
do karaoke. Do you know the words?
Yeah, I think. Oh.
Beat the drum.
came out today. I'm born again, there's new grass on the field. Around in third, I'm heading for home. It's a brown-eyed, handsome man. Anyone can understand the way I feel. Oh, put me in, coach. I'm ready to play today. Put me in, coach. I'm ready to play today. Look at me. I can be center field. Maybe part of it is that
I like that better, that version.
You
I
don't
like Ben's
just,
version.
You don't just go in and play center field without ever having played it before. At least that's what I thought until this year when Jackson Merrill did it and became an all-star by just, basically saying, put me in, coach. Look at me.
Yeah.
I can be center field.
I don't think that's how it went down. They said, hey, guess what? You're playing center field.
You can be. Look at you, Jackson. You can be center field.
And he said, oh, okay. Put me in, coach. I can do this.
Oh, Andrew, stay on the line. We'll get you those tickets. I'm looking at the set list. You will, in fact, hear center field.
Oh, you will?
Oh, yeah.
Based on previous shows of what Fogarty's been playing on
It
tour.
doesn't mean he doesn't hate playing it, though.
Right. I was just curious if he's even going to play it at all. But it looks like I looked through like 4 or 5 different shows recently from last month.
Yeah.
Same set list, top to bottom, and it's right there in the middle.
Is that thing out of tune? Somebody said tune that thing. Yeah, I've got a tuner. I'll tune it for Kyle. So
You
it
got an hour.
sounds good. All right.
That was well done, though, by Andrew.
Yeah,
very
well
sharp, and I thought you did a really nice job of
Thank you.
making that song identifiable.
I'll just tune it live on the air. You can go to break if you want.
Maybe just tune a little bit. How do you know do you have how does that work?
This is a little tuner.
Does it can identify the different notes?
Yep.
And to make sure they're correct? Oh, I never knew how that worked. I thought you just had to know exactly what C sounded like.
Well, some people do. I do
pitch
not.
perfect.
Oh, yeah.
You're not pitch perfect.
No. They can tune it by ear. I cannot.
All right, Woods is going to tune his guitar. We'll come back. Jesse Agler is going to join us, the voice of the Padres. We need an incorporator word. If you want to throw one into the chat during our break, please do. We would love the suggestion. Jesse coming up next on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
Yeah, this thing.
Don't forget, you can listen to Sam Levitt's podcast, Inside San Diego Baseball, as Sam covers everything going on with the Padres. Just find it at 973thefansd.com, the Odyssey app, or wherever you get your podcasts. That includes segments from the pre- and the post-game show. Sammy's always doing all kinds of interviews down on the field, and you can get that at your convenience by downloading the free Odyssey app. All right, it is a Tuesday. We got Jesse Agler standing by to talk some Padres baseball. He will join us right after a check of traffic here on 97.3 The Fan.
From the 97.3 The Fan Traffic Center, here's Kelly Danick.
Traffic is sponsored by Air Max, San Diego's highest-rated heating and air company. Visit them at airmax.com. Well, guys, for the most part, folks have been doing a pretty good job of staying out of trouble on our roads. We are seeing a lot of Caltrans projects in and around the county, though, so friendly reminder to please, let's keep those essential workers safe out there. Take it extra carefully as you pass them, even move over a lane if it's safe to do so. Looking for the best in HVAC? Choose Air Max, San Diego's highest-rated heating and air company. With free diagnostics on all repairs and estimates, see why over 1,300 happy customers have given Air Max 5-star Yelp reviews. See Air Max today at airmax.com. I'm Kelly Danick with Ben and Woods, San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
So I tweeted on Friday night when the Padres dramatically won 10-8 on the Manny Machado walk-off home run. Hey, better than a 7-2 win. And, of course, you get some pushback because, obviously, you had to use more bullpen arms. You stressed everybody out. But I think for an announcer, absolutely, a 7-2 no-drama win at the end provides no opportunity to shine the way Jesse Agler was able to shine on Friday night in what was one of the wildest innings of the Major League Baseball season. And Jesse joins us right now here on a Tuesday on 97.3 The Fan. Good morning, Jesse.
Good morning. Yeah, that was that's one we'll remember for a very, very, very long time.
Now, while it's happening, it's not that fun because you're looking like, oh, this is going to be the worst loss of the season here, blowing a 5-run lead in the ninth inning. But in the hindsight, that was a fun one to call.
It was, and you know what was neat for me was, as somebody who watches literally every single pitch of this, team, when it went to the bottom of the inning, in my brain, and this is really for the first time since the beginning of last year, I was like, I think they're going to do this.
Yep.
Because last season there came a point where I stopped feeling that way, sadly. It was just sort of the reality of how last year went. And for the first half of last year, it seemed like they had the right guys coming up in those spots time and time again, whether it was extra innings or just down by 1 in the ninth or whatever. And it just never happened. And it was flummoxing, and we've never been able to explain it, and we never will be able to explain it. And so I kind of lost the ability to be like, all right, I'm confident in this moment. But the way this team has played this year, even after the heartbreak and the gut punch at the top of the inning, when you look down and you saw who was coming up in the bottom half, like during that commercial break in the middle of the ninth inning, I legitimately thought to myself, I was like, they're going to win this game, aren't they? And, it took 3 batters. They didn't record it out, and really one of the crazier finishes we'll ever see.
Now, Jesse, that thought was so pervasive with you, and it was pervasive with me too, that when the next night rolled around, I went, we got this. This is going to be an unlikely hero in Bryce Johnson, but I have every confidence in the world that we'll get it done. They didn't, and I was still like, still pretty cool. They got really, really close, and I know there are no moral victories, but man, it was weird. Like I didn't get that dopamine rush that I was used to getting like the night before.
Yeah, it's great. Because the crazier thing about the second game was like they, in a weird way, right? They kind of did the hard part. They got the first run, they loaded the bases, They had nobody out. And at that point, I don't know for me, and maybe this is crazy, but like my sense was kind of like, all right, you kind of did what you needed to do, and now let's see what happens, right? Like, you did the hard part, you got the guys on base, you made the guys sweat, and at the end of the day, I guess credit to Humberto Castellanos and his 90-mile-an-hour fastball for being able to get out of the thing. But, that's the beauty of baseball. There's a million different ways to do it. But, yeah, like it wasn't discouraging in the way that so many games were last year, because this team has proven, from Jump Street that they're capable of making this thing happen. And it's great. Mike Schultz from literally day one in spring training has been obsessively speaking, publicly and privately. And the guys in the clubhouse have been speaking obsessively, publicly and privately, about having, sort of this mentality and this identity and they're going out there and they're walking the walk all season long. So it's great. It's fun. Never feels like they're out of a game. You know, they had the 8-0 comeback in April, and I think that was the one that kind of set the tone where it was like, all right, you know, they're capable of doing this year. You know, you win your first 3 extra inning games. That certainly didn't hurt after what happened last season. So it's a fun team. It really is.
Jesse, your thought on the Padres slate of All-Stars? Obviously had the 2 voted in last Wednesday in Profar and Tatis, and then 3 more named to the team on Sunday. And honestly, the one that I saw the most pushback, at least nationally, on wasn't Jackson Merrill, who really does absolutely deserve to be there. I saw more pushback in Luis Arraez than any of the other Padres All-Stars. And I think that goes to what you really consider to be the most valuable part of an offensive player. It's almost like a personal preference sort of thing.
There's definitely that. I think there's also the element of, like, he was on the ballot as a second baseman, and he hasn't really played much second base since coming to the Padres. So, like, talking to some of the Arizona people over the weekend, because remember, Arraez and Ketel Marte were the finalists at second base, they were all like, this guy's not even a second baseman. And I was like, well, he was, you know, and then he came here and Xander got hurt and the Padres had to kind of mix everything up and they decided to stick him at first base. But, you know, so I think there's a couple of things at play there, but there's no doubt, you know, I mean, it's not new news that there's a lot of people in baseball who don't look at batting average the same way that maybe we did, you know, 25, 30 and beyond years ago. But, you know, for me, All-Stars about a few different things. It's not a cut and dry black and white. You know, one, I think, quote unquote, star power does matter. I do think that goes in, and having name recognition. And he's got that because he's won a batting title the last couple of years. Beyond that, how do you compare to the guys at the position you play? That's obviously a little bit of a weird one, as we just discussed. And then further, all right, what is your skill set? And how does it compare to other people of that skill set? And Luis Arraez is the best when it comes to that skill set, when it comes to hitting for average, when it comes to collecting base hits. I think he pretty much stands alone in the National League here in 2024. So, you know, for all those reasons, you know, for me, Luis Arraez is absolutely an all-star. Having 2 guys voted in is a big deal. It really doesn't happen often. You know, it hadn't happened here, since 1997, that the Padres had 2 guys voted in. The fact that they're both outfielders who never played the outfield before last year kind of makes it that much more special. What a credit to both Fernando and, you know, Profar. I guess Jurickson's been an outfielder, you know, a little bit the last couple of years, but he came up as an infielder. Then you add in Merrill, obviously. What a phenomenal story. Suarez really, you know, hadn't had a hiccup before the other night when, you know, he was kind of on fumes out there. All really, really well-deserving. 5 is a big number. It's a really, really big number, and this team has a lot to be proud of.
Talking to our pal Jesse Agler here on Ben and Woods this morning, and you know we all compare. You just did it talking about last year. We've done it in here a million times. You know, when it comes to the job of a general manager, though, you know, is it fair? You have to treat each season as its own silo, as Mike Schilt likes to call it, the vacuum, right? And we were just talking about this. We talked about it a little bit yesterday, Jesse. When you look at this team and you call these games every night, you see a team and you go, all right, we have to do whatever if you're the front office, we have to do whatever we have to do. This is truly the team that deserves, you know, a frontline starter or a, you know, excellent bullpen piece. Obviously, AJ's been willing to do that many, many times in his tenure, but you can't really look at what he's done in the past. You just kind of have to focus on the team that you have in front of you. Do you agree also when you watch this team that they've absolutely earned, you know, some moves, some help, whatever they may need to try to push this thing over the finish line?
Yes, of course. But also, you know, I would say that we all, and I include myself in this, have a tendency to oversimplify the trade deadline when we talk about it.
Big time.
You know, we say, hey, a buyer or seller, right? Well, okay, obviously, if you're going to make it that black and white, the Padres are buyers. You know, they're in playoff position. As you said, they have a team that has earned the opportunity to push forward and try and make this thing happen. But you know, complicated deals coming together, it's complicated. So it's not going to be as straightforward as like, all right, we need a starter and a reliever, so let's go out and talk to this team and that team and we'll get it done. You know, there's so many moving parts that make it happen. And then the other thing to always keep in mind is, you know, there's the cliche of like, hey, the best moves are the ones you never made. But then also that, you know, it's the thing of you think you're making a move that's like a no-brainer. Of course, this is going to work out, but it doesn't always.
Yeah, for sure.
And I mean, I don't have to. We can go down Adam Frazier Boulevard and Austin Nola Road or whatever you want, right? Like, moves that in the moment you thought were like, oh, of course, like this is great. The guy's hitting. What was Adam Frazier hitting when he got here a couple of years ago? It was like 330 something, like 340.
Batting
and the
champion.
change of scenery was brutal for him. And I don't blame AJ for that because like we all would have made that move. Yeah, that's exactly the kind of guy we need right now. So like that landmine is out there on all these potential deals. You say, hey, we need a frontline starter. You look at whatever name you want to of the guys that might fall into that bucket right now who could be available. And like, it is not automatic that guy is just going to continue to have the ERA and the sort of, strikeout rate that he does wherever he is now when he comes here. That's just not the way baseball works. On the other side of that, you might acquire somebody who you go, that's a little bit odd. That doesn't seem like the kind of guy they're going after, but it clicks, right? And maybe, Ruben has a conversation with him and they look at something together and all of a sudden he's even better than he was somewhere else. So again, it's just not as simple and straightforward as like, all right, here's our laundry list or our grocery list and let's go out and get one of each because you just never know how it's going to end up going. And, that's not even getting into the chemistry issues that can arise, both with departures and arrivals. So it's a really, really kind of, perilous tightrope that any general manager has to walk this time of year, particularly if you have a team, as the Padres do, that is performing well. Look, there's no doubt they need pitching help, right? Because of injuries, because of the Darvish situation, and because, quite frankly, every competitive team probably could always use more pitching. But it's just not that easy, and I think that's an important thing to keep in mind these next couple weeks.
I love what you said about chemistry, too, because we had Tim Flannery in yesterday, and he was, part of the 3 World Series championships for the Giants, and he talked about what Brian Sabean did, bringing in guys that hadn't won before and that were really, really hungry. And I thought about that for a second, and I went, oh, yeah, the Hunter Pences of the world, the Marco Scuderos of the world, the guys that were like, all right, I'm on a winner now. I'll do anything I have to do.
Pagan.
Yeah, Pagan, right?
Or do you bring in guys who have championship pedigree, who know how to get it done already?
Right.
I mean, you can always go
you can go the other way,
of every
too.
argument.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. No, it's interesting to think about.
Both have value. I've talked to GMs about both of those things before, and it's a real thing. You can go back. It's kind of a random example, but it's relevant with the '84 celebration. And you mentioned Flannery. Terry Kennedy is one of those guys in the mid-late '80s. He kept popping up on really good teams.
Yeah,
that's not an accident. That's not an accident. Like, that's the kind of guy that, if you're a competitive team, you wanted to go out and get and say, hey, this guy knows what it takes. This guy has sort of been there and done that. And there's no doubt, like chemistry, I think when we talk about that, often people think about personality and, quote unquote leadership, leading by example or leading by voice, whatever it is. And that exists. I'm not trying to poo-poo it. But, chemistry can also mean, the kinds of guys who have had certain experiences or at certain points in their careers. If you got a bunch of guys who are going into free agency, on a given year, obviously they're going to be concerned about themselves, not just about the team. If you got a bunch of guys who have contracts, are they, it's like you can go a million different directions with that. So, yeah, I'm with you. Like, I think that's an important thing to always consider, kind of mixing in the hungry guys with the guys who know what it takes, come August and September and October to try and get it done. And that's sort of like the magic recipe that any head of baseball operations is always trying to concoct.
Now, Jesse, the Padres should be getting one of those championship players back probably sometime this week in Xander Bogaerts, 2 rings under his belt, good chemistry guy. Don't know what the production is going to look like, obviously, right away, especially after missing, 2 months here with the shoulder fracture. But and Mike will be asked about it either today or tomorrow. But how do you kind of envision the Padres lineup working as Xander comes back, and where to put him back at second? Does Jake move back to first? Is Ariza a designated hitter? What do you do when Manny needs to get a day off? It kind of adds some complications to Mike Shilt's job. Certainly a good complications, but complications nonetheless.
Yeah, I like your word choice. It's because I think a lot of people will be like, oh, it's a good problem to have, cliche. And I think complication is better than problem because I don't see it as problematic. And yeah, I think generally, and I'm speaking out of turn here because I haven't asked Mike or anybody else about it, but I think you can move it around a little bit. Manny's been playing more third base. So, all right, is that, DH spot now a little bit less of a Solano and a little bit more of an Arise, quite possibly. But, they can mix and match every single day, right? They can kind of look at who's in there and move some things around. So, yeah, there's definitely some options. I'm not going to pretend to be the expert. I certainly have my opinion, but it's not really worth much of anything. And they'll figure that out. Look, the key thing for one of these things, and everybody involved knows this, is communication. And, just kind of getting with everybody. And Mike Schilt is tremendous when it comes to this. Just kind of getting with everybody and saying, all right, here's the plan, here's the idea, here's how we kind of want to handle this. Obviously subject to change, based on, how things go, but here's sort of how we're going to do, and to get everybody on board. That's part of the job of the manager, and I have no doubt he'll be able to do that. But yeah, it'll look a little bit different when Xander returns than it looked in the last couple of months. But look, these things always end up kind of working out also. Like, somebody else gets hurt, unfortunately, or somebody's not performing, or somebody just needs a little bit of a break, and you kind of do this. So it's a positive, obviously, getting somebody of Xander's caliber back, and it's only going to make this team better.
All right, Jesse, last incorporator for a couple of weeks. Next week, of course, you're off, All-Star break. Certainly you deserve at least a few days before hitting the road for another East Coast trip, right? Coming up right after the break again. So enjoy this time in San Diego.
Did you guys hear that?
Few and far between. Now, you mentioned last week you were going to bring your own incorporator word to the table. Do you still want to hold to that, or do you want us to come up with something?
Sure. No, I'm ready to go if you are.
Let's do it.
Oh,
all right. God. So now Jesse gets to announce to us today's incorporator word.
So I had honestly forgotten about this until about 4 minutes ago that I said I would do it. But it popped in my head as we were talking here, and as I'm sitting in a random parking lot in La Costa somewhere after dropping my son off at camp, I am hearing his Tamagotchi beeping away in the back seat because those are apparently back and as annoying as ever. So I thought the word Tamagotchi might be a fun
Tamagotchi.
one
It's
to
like,
try and
okay, so
slide
what is
into
that
the
for people
broadcast.
who don't understand or know?
Sure. For those of you lucky enough to not know what a Tamagotchi is, it was like really popular. I mean, when I was, in middle school, and they're back now, they're like these little electronic, quote unquote, pets that kids have, and it's got some buttons and it beeps very, very loudly.
But if
at
you don't
all
take
hours
care
of
of
the
it,
night.
it can
Yes.
like die.
Yes, it and then you reset it. It's a great life lesson. You just hit the button to reset it after it dies, just like taking care of a dog, right? So yeah, that's what a Tamagotchi is, and it's a funny sounding word. Obviously, I think it's a Japanese word, so
Tamagotchi.
it might sound a little bit out of place on the broadcast.
Yeah,
perfect.
If those were big when Jesse was in middle school, I'm a few years younger than Jesse. I think those were like Happy Meal toys at one point.
At one point, Ben.
okay.
If you're Ben and my age, we played with cigarettes when we were little kids. That's all we
I
got to
certainly
play
did.
with. So
And
Ben
matches,
in particular.
yeah, Ben in particular. Yeah. You guys had it.
Switchblade knives, matches,
butterfly
cigarettes.
knives,
Yeah.
cigarettes, Rambo
Yeah,
knives.
sure.
Jacks and
Absolutely,
marbles.
yeah. Yeah, we did play jacks.
I actually did play jacks.
I did too. Loved
in
it.
school.
Bring some jacks in for summer break
Jacks.
next week. Let's get it going. I'm serious. It's Ben and Wood summer break. We're gonna explore the
Literally,
space.
the game is trying to pick things up off of the
Off the
ground.
ground.
That was entertainment.
That was entertainment
back
for
in
us.
our
What
day,
about
Jesse.
What about Barrel of Monkeys? Remember
Barrel of
that one?
monkeys, so stupid.
We had Barrel of Monkeys.
We also used to,
loved my Barrel of Monkeys.
sniff glue and
pick
eat
up
paste.
sticks.
Yeah, pick up sticks.
People love picking things up back in the day.
Really did.
Now it just is like a pain in the butt.
Yeah.
Like, can I not pick things up
I know.
anymore, please?
Now I have a grabber.
Ah.
Yeah. Thank you, Jesse.
Jesse,
Appreciate
have
it,
a
buddy.
have a good broadcast tonight. Rest of the week. Enjoy your All-Star break. We'll talk to you in 2 weeks.
Sounds good, guys.
Jesse Agler, voice of the San Diego Padres. Tamagotchi is tonight's incorporator word.
Jax was
I think
badass, by the
Tony
way.
Gwynn's Jr.'s back after a weekend off as well on the broadcast. So hopefully everything goes as planned.
Bounce the ball.
Bounce the ball, and you
then
got to grab the
scoop.
jacks
But you
and then
go
catch
in
the ball
order.
before it
Here's
lands,
one,
right?
Here's two. Now I got three.
You got three at a
four.
time.
But you take them, you sprinkle them out.
It's a game of manual dexterity.
Manual dexterity. It was really good hand-eye coordination stuff. I'm going to get some jacks for the kids. They'll
Then
just
you
throw
leave
them at
them
each
out
other.
and you step on
them.
one with
yeah.
your foot.
Oh, God.
And it's agonizing.
It's over. You sons of bitches. Who left these jacks out? You did. You brought them home. It's 2024.
We didn't want these.
Yeah, it's 2024, dude.
All right, we've got Reindl Report, some headlines coming up next, and then Kyle Higashioka in studio, all in our final hour of Ben and Woods, coming up on 97.3 The Fan. Thanks again to Jesse Agler. Had a nice discussion of playground games when he was gone. And I don't even think anything we played, like, 5th grade, 6th grade, out on the playground at elementary school is even allowed anymore.
You say that, man, but I picked up Bo from school last year, and he would do soccer after school one day a week. And look, they were playing basketball, but it wasn't basketball. it was, it was rough. Like I didn't see a teacher in sight. So I think there's still a little bit of fend for yourself.
You bring
up
up a good point, because you can try to regulate it out, and there's no more dodgeball or butts up or
love butts up.
Well, the games that we all played when we were in the playground, and it was it was Lord of the Flies out there.
It really was.
And you can try to legislate it out, like make a bunch of rules and these games can't be played. But that aggression is still inherent, especially to, 10, 12-year-old boys. And you can just have them play soccer or basketball. They're just going to make it rougher that way when they're not getting their aggression out in the somewhat unsanctioned games that we used to play.
100%.
I didn't love them. I was not a fan of, because I wasn't one of the more aggressive kids, obviously.
Recess was...
But you had to play.
Recess was, like you said, Lord of the Flies. It was fend for yourself.
How many recesses did you guys have in elementary school?
Just one.
We had 3.
We had recess, then we had lunch, was mostly recess. Like you'd eat for 5 minutes, and then another 30 minutes you'd go out and play.
That's about right.
And then there was a PE in the afternoon, which was more of a organized outdoor time. So you had the 3 times outside.
Adam says they don't allow Red Rover in the elementary school district. Yeah, Red Rover was rough.
That got banned at my elementary school at some point.
People
when
getting
I was there.
Choked out.
Clothesline. Yeah, Red Rover, send Woodsy right over.
Like, oh God, I'm dead.
You try to find the smallest kid and try to break through those arms.
Yeah, Megan says tetherball. Tetherball was...
Oh, God, I love tetherball.
Tetherball was great.
And yes, there was the... Smear the slur that we used to play as well.
We used to play
that. No one could be proud of it, but that was the worst of all.
Hockey, which was
there was literally no rules other than just mauling someone.
Throw the ball up in the air and kill the guy that catches it.
Horrible.
Just kill him. Just like a punt return, essentially. But yeah, it's Foursquare. That was a game I never liked.
Tetherball was even pretty gnarly, because that ball, when it started swinging around on a rope, could do some damage. You get it in the face, that was not fun.
The greatest game, though, in elementary school, I think bar none, was kickball. There was nothing like kickball. How do you want it?
Baby bouncies.
Yeah, baby bouncies.
Slow
rollers. Yeah, that was the best. It was baseball with kicking. It was so much fun. But yeah, I watch him, man, out at their little recess, and they're playing hoops, and they don't know how to dribble. So they just bowl people over and then chuck up shots. It gets nuts. He's gotten in trouble like 20 times this year playing too rough at basketball.
Dude, I loved that. Was so much fun, like basketball or something like that. Because like I said, my elementary school, we had 3 recesses: morning, lunch, and afternoon. So you would get like 3 games in, and you'd have the same teams. You're like, oh, we're gonna get your ass in the next recess break or whatever.
Oh,
you just went out there and sweat. You're running your ass off for 10 or
then
15 minutes.
Come back
then
in.
You gotta go back in.
Social studies. You're like,
learn about it.
And then there was the completely overwhelmed playground monitor with the whistle.
Yeah, there's nothing.
Who was in charge of 400 kids who were out there at once. There was one, woman with a whistle who was supposed to keep everybody in line the entire time. Good luck to you, ma'am or sir, whoever's job that was.
At Bo's school, too, it's like volunteers. The teachers at recess are like,
they're going to break room. Yeah, this is our break. We're going to the break room. We're leaving it to the playground monitor to monitor 7, 8 classes that are all out there together at the same time.
I told you guys a while back. It's one of my favorite stories. Miss Brumfield, that was our playground monitor in elementary school. And for years, she called me Carl.
I remember that.
Carl Reindl.
She kept calling me Carl. And finally, I got in trouble for...
You yelled at her. It's Paul!
Yeah, I got in trouble for running or something where you weren't supposed to be running. And she goes, Carl, come over here. And I turned around and said, my name's not Carl! And got detention.
I used to call my brother Carl as an insult when I was a kid. No offense to any Carls out there.
I don't think we even had a Carl at the school.
I've never actually met a real Carl.
They don't exist.
No. But I used to call him Carl, and it used to make him so mad.
I was already pissed because I got in trouble for something, and then I just snapped and screamed at her and got detention. Mom's like, "Well, what'd you do?" I was like,
"Well, it's time. It's actually
time for
isn't it time for the Carl Report right now?
Carl Reindl Report.
Take it away, Carl.
And get things started here with our today's edition of the Reindl Report.
Now tuned into the greatest.
Welcome to the Reindl Report with Paul Reindl.
Hi, Paul.
All right.
Two stories from the world of sports that we haven't gotten to yet.
We'll start off in Major League Baseball.
And one story that you didn't know you needed.
Are you laughing, biatch?
It's the Reindl Report
Hey, Paul, how you doing? Okay, how are you?
on 97.3 The Fan.
Are you ready to bless the mood? I need some help, please.
That was good.
Can I get a yeah? Oh, yeah.
All right.
Carl.
Take it away, Carl.
Famous Carls. Carl Lewis.
Carl Reiner.
Carl's Jr.
Carl's Jr. It's a good one.
Carl Sagan. No, I don't have many other Carls out there.
George Carl.
That's Basketball Woods
That's a
comes
K.
up with George Carl.
That's all I think about. 24/7. Hoops, 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 hoops.
Hey, he was the head coach of the Sonics, I think.
Yes,
when
he was.
When I got in
Absolutely.
trouble.
Yes, he was. Yeah.
All right. We'll start off in the NFL. Interesting story. Fun story here. Two-time defensive and Pro Bowler Josh Allen, not quarterback for the Bills, but the Jaguars' top defensive player, Josh Allen, he is changing his name heading into the upcoming NFL season. He's changing his last name to read Hines-Allen.
Oh, he's
Joshua Hines Allen. And he's doing this to pay tribute to, it says, his maternal side of his family and other relatives who have worn Hines and Hines Allen on their jerseys.
That's a good story.
It is.
It is a really nice story that he has concocted to hide the real reason. There's another way more famous Josh Allen in the league. And you never want to be the second most famous player in the league with a name, right?
Yeah.
Do you think he cares?
Yeah, I think he cares. I think that's a big reason why he's changing his name.
I think he's doing it to honor his, what was it, grandmother?
Yeah, his mother's family side. And it says here on ESPN, so his sister plays for the Washington Mystics in the WNBA, and she has Hines Allen on the back. His sisters both play college basketball or played college basketball. They had Hines Allen on their backs.
Makes sense to me.
In addition, his uncle was drafted by the Warriors in 1983 after a Hall of Fame career at Hampton University. Also had Hines Allen, so he's paying tribute to the whole family. That's his story. Ben thinks he's just covering because he doesn't want to be Josh Allen.
He's so negative. You're so negative. You always think the worst of people.
His quote on his Instagram.
It's not a bad thing. I think it's smart, actually, to not have the same exact name as a more famous player in the league.
He's established, though, isn't he? Yeah.
He's
not Carl.
Not Carl.
Yeah.
Josh Allen's a two-time Pro Bowler. He's a very good defensive player.
He's now Carl Allen.
But when
This is
anyone
what he's gonna
says,
do.
NFL player Josh Allen, who do you think of?
Josh Allen. From
Josh
the Bills.
Allen.
Yeah,
Yeah,
of course.
exactly. The quarterback of the Bills. So you need to do something to differentiate from the Josh Allen everyone
different positions.
thinks you're referring to.
Mikey agrees with Miley in the chat. Agrees with. Or
He
Mikey,
posted
I
a
can't
picture
say
of the
Miley.
new jersey pointing to the back, to the nameplate, and he says on Instagram, "Legacy is forever, and I'm proud to carry that tradition on the back of my jersey, following in the footsteps of my family who have donned the Hines Allen last name with so much pride and joy."
There is a
suck it, Ben Higgins.
There is a
SD.
reason that why didn't he do it sooner? But somebody just said in the chat, Ben, you're the second most famous Ben Higgins after the Bachelor guy. Maybe you should go back to Dan Stevens.
Fair enough.
I will never get over Dan Stevens ever. Pick a name, kid. You need a different name. Dan Stevens sounds very radio-like. Yeah, also sounds made up and like a porn star. Dan Stevens.
All right.
Dan Stevens.
I don't like this second story because, look, and I think Woods would also agree with this. I love a good commitment to the bit, but sometimes I think it can be dragged out too far.
Well, sometimes it gets ridiculous.
And Skip Bayless for a long time, you're like, this is a bit. That's the worst opinion. That's the worst take I've ever heard. You have to just be doing this for the clicks. You know you don't believe this, and you're doing this because that's your shtick.
What's his latest?
The latest has to do with LeBron James.
Okay,
and
shocker.
Bronny James.
Right.
LeBron James Jr. So he was on his podcast, with the Skip Bayless show, I think. And, here's what he had to say.
I think he'll be more calm, cool, and collected in the eye of next year's storm than even his father will be.
Oh.
I think he'll play pretty well alongside his father. I think Bronny will be pretty good. I think he'll become a clutch three-point shooter. I've always gotten the feeling that Bronny had a bigger clutch gene than his father does.
I mean,
you have to tip your hat. You absolutely. The fact that he's able to say it with a straight face is astounding. It's astounding.
I think Bronny, who scored like 4 points in his summer league debut, and
he's going to be better.
Averaged 3 points a game in his 1 year of college basketball, has got the bigger clutch gene in the family than Dad,
LeBron
who's hit
James.
game-winning threes in the finals.
You're going for 20 straight years on LeBron is overrated.
It's incredible,
At
man.
some point, you feel like, I'm eventually going to be right. I am going to stick with this until he retires. This guy is overrated.
I mean, doesn't it do him... I guess... Isn't it like better to come in 10 years ago? You know what? I was wrong. I'll wear it. You know, like that gives you more.
I would think so. But
I would think so too. And there's nothing wrong with being wrong about a player. It happens all the time to all of us.
Oh yeah,
all of us.
Now
have been
LeBron
wrong.
did, in a way, agree when he said Bronny is probably going to handle all of this attention better than I would have. I unfortunately care too much what people say and think.
Yeah.
Bronny doesn't really care. He's got that gene where he doesn't care that much.
I heard that LeBron also said like it's two different tales. Like Bronny, think everything that has happened in my life. Bronny doesn't have to play basketball. Bronny's going to be good.
He's fine.
He's going to be just fine. Whereas LeBron's like, I had to make it. It was the only way out from Akron. I had to make it. Bronny doesn't necessarily have to do that.
Yeah, he said if you want to be a chef or a gamer or whatever, like I'm going to take care of him. He's fine. We got plenty of money.
Yeah, good.
Could have done whatever he wanted, but he put the work in
to get
to basketball to get to this point.
Yeah, and let's not also act like he's not a massive nepo baby too. Right. I mean, both things can be true.
It's not to his fault.
It's not to his fault.
Like,
can't help who his old man is.
Somebody asked in the chat, how much does this dude get paid, Skip Bayless? Well, he's in the middle of a 4-year, $32 million contract that he signed with Fox Sports
$8 million
a couple years ago.
$8 million a year.
For takes like that.
It's something else, man. And then finally, this should probably be defined as punishment, I would say. But I was reading one of our favorite websites. Woodsy turned us on to it. Consequence of Sound. They do music, television, movies, a lot of pop culture stories. So I like to check that out in the morning for some Reindl Report stories. And they've got one here that says that Bob Dylan, our old buddy, has announced a massive new 431 song box set collecting every single surviving soundboard recording from his legendary 1974 tour with the band.
Like on what format?
400
vinyl?
Yeah, it looks like vinyl.
7,500 records.
It's
they drop it off in one of those moving boxes that you just have to go pull the record out. How many albums?
Storage container on your
coming out on
driveway?
September 20th. The new box set will feature 431 newly mixed songs across 27 discs, including 417 of them being never before released tracks.
I can't believe it. I absolutely can't believe it. Did you see who's here already?
I did.
He's early.
Oh, my man.
Kyle Higashioka is in the building.
Well,
what would you say?
What are we talking about Bob Dylan for?
What would you say is the average length of a Bob Dylan song?
4 minutes.
4 minutes?
4 to 5 minutes.
431 songs times 4 minutes divided by 60 minutes per hour. So it would take you probably around 29 hours straight to listen.
Hey, next week, there's no baseball. We just start at 6 and we play all of the tracks of Bob Dylan. We'll talk through them over them.
Only 4 hours a day. It'll take us like
the
3
entire
weeks.
All-Star break?
The whole break. We get through as much as we can next week on the show.
It comes out in September. This will take us through like the entire month of November.
You know I like avant-garde radio. I don't think there's much more avant-garde radio than that. Strap in for next week. It's going to get real weird.
All right. Well, now that Josh Allen is changing his name, I don't know if there's going to be room for 2 Higgies in the studio at one time. We're going to have to fight over the nickname. When we come back, though, Kyle Higashioka, Padres catcher, Going to be with us. Don't go anywhere. Check traffic and then returning with more Ben Woods on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. It's already started.
Oh, it's already started.
I knew this would happen. Woodsy was so excited. I mean, I'm excited as well. Obviously, we'll talk some baseball with our next guest in studio, but the music talk has already begun because joining us right now in studio, this is a real treat. Padres catcher Kyle Higashioka is here during a homestand here. You got the All-Star break coming up, but appreciate you stopping by this morning, Kyle. Good to see you.
Yeah, thanks for having me, guys.
It's good to see you again in person. And what a well, we want to do baseball first or what?
No, we got a short segment here. Let's just get comfortable.
Let's get comfortable first.
Dive in here.
So we were talking about the fact that you use Rats Lay It Down for your walk-up. I love it so much. And I love hip-hop, and I like country. But with everybody having a hip-hop song or Morgan Wallen song as their walk-up, and you go with Rat. San Diego, by the way, legendary band. Mickey Rat went to L.A. and became Rat. I love that about you. It's my favorite.
Yeah, I think it's like a nice little tribute to, wherever you're playing. I try to choose a song that's from a hopefully a local band.
Yeah.
And Rat's one of my favorites. Yes. So it's like that was an easy choice for me.
Lifetime contract for Kyle Higashioka. If I were the boss.
It makes sense, though. Woods, you're 48, almost 49, and you kind of grew up in the 80s like we did. Now, you're younger. You're 34. So
yeah.
Rat was already well established by the time you were probably kind of getting into different music. How did you become a fan of a band that was not necessarily in their prime when you were in your teen formative music years?
Yeah, I mean, I didn't really listen to them much when I was growing up. It's just when I started playing guitar, that was probably my first spring training. I started playing guitar, and so I really started diving deep into the world of hard rock guitarists, and I discovered all these bands from the 80s that were just like incredible.
Shredders, man.
Yeah, I mean,
two of the best in that band too.
You got the. I mean, it's still like a mainstream sound. It's like a more of like a pop vocal, so it's super catchy. All the songs are super catchy, but then you got more of a heavy metal style guitar, which is that's kind of right up my alley. So Rat was one of them. Warren DeMartini, he's one of my favorites.
Yes. This is
George
amazing.
Lynch,
Yep.
one of my favorites.
From Doc and
Eddie
Van
Halen.
Eddie
obviously.
Van Halen, of course, legendary.
Yeah.
I love that. I love that you use it too. It just makes me excited every time because if I was a big leaguer, I would play it. But they're like, well, of course you would. You're 48 years old. You're going to play Rat, and you shouldn't be in the big leagues because you're 48 years old. You can't hit. You can't play defense. You can't run. There's nothing really that you bring to the table. But hey, what a great run that you guys are on, and of course you personally. I know, it seems like a locker room, Kyle, that everyone's really pretty friendly and tight and pulling for each other right now. It's been some pretty magical moments for you and the team these first, the half of the season.
Yeah. I mean, the thing that's impressed me the most about this team is just the resilience. I don't think I've ever been on a team that's been so prone to coming back anytime we're down. It's just every game that we're within, a few runs at the end, we're always feeling like we're gonna make something happen in the ninth, and it doesn't always happen, but it's happened enough to where it's like, wow, this is we might have something special here.
I think people forget, anytime you get to the big leagues, obviously you were a phenomenal player growing up, high school, all the way through to get to the big leagues, but you haven't had a chance to play as regularly as you have lately that often in your career. You've kind of been in that backup role with the Yankees and then started with the Padres in that same role. When was the last time you felt like you were kind of on a heater like you've been on for these last few weeks?
I mean, I don't think I've ever played had a month like that, like I had in June. So, but yeah, I mean, to me, it's like, I believe that I'm capable of that. It's just baseball is all about.
It's good to actually see it, though.
Yeah.
Well, and you always hear guys when they get on those heaters, and I would ask you the same question. When they get on those heaters, they're like, I don't want to go home. I don't want to have to wait until tomorrow. It's like a good golf round. You always have I always play really well on 18. And then I'm done. And I'm like, I just want to keep playing. Was that what this last month has been like for you? Like, I cannot wait to get back there and get after it again.
Yeah. I mean, you always want to be you always want to be playing when you're playing well. So, but yeah, I mean, the game's all about consistency though. So, the best players they have months like that more often than just once a year. So, that's what I'm striving for, trying to keep that going for the rest of the year.
Talking to Kyle Higashioka is in studio with us, and I've heard talk of like a slight stance adjustment and things that have worked well for you. But you started a new team, you come to San Diego, and there was like an 0-for-20 stretch where you're only getting to play once every few days. Did you feel at the time that you were like close though, like you're about to break out of it? And how frustrating was that to come to a new team, come back to your home state, and get off to kind of a slow start before this latest stretch?
Yeah, you always want to impress when you go to a new team. So it's definitely tough when you're not exactly swinging the bat so great. But I mean, historically I've been kind of a slow starter, and I mean I tried to make adjustments this year to mitigate that, but obviously still got off to a slow start. So I wasn't in full panic mode, but it's definitely, when you have a stretch like that where you hit less than 20 at bats, you start to try new things, and sometimes it's actually, you come out better on the other side for it.
Let's go to break.
Yeah, okay, we're going to take a quick timeout. When we come back, I want to ask Kyle, obviously, about catching Matt Waldron, which is something he's been asked to do that no other catcher in Major League Baseball has done in several years now.
Yeah, man.
And he's got to do it every fifth day for the San Diego Padres. And I don't know if you noticed, but Woods did bring the guitar in.
Yeah, that's not always here, just for the record.
So
we've got it running. We got run through a board and everything.
It's possible he may ask you to pick it up at some point.
I might.
So we'll see what happens after the break. Final segment of Ben and Woods, Kyle Higashioka in studio. Coming back next year on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. Sour 97.3 The Fan is brought to you by the Frozen Ropes baseball and softball training facilities. Frozen Ropes signing up athletes age 6 through 12 for baseball, softball, summer camps. Half-day, full-day options available. Make it a Frozen Ropes summer like Bo Woods over there. For more information, visit SanDiegoFrozenRopes.com. That's SanDiegoFrozenRopes.com.
Yeah, we haven't even mentioned the little guy's here today. You know, it's summer. We need care for him, so his old man just brings him to work. You had a question for Higgy you wanted to ask yesterday, you said, right?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
What does it take to break in a catcher's mitt?
Look at that. Better question than his old man has ever asked. Never. Oh, that's first time. All right, so what do you do to break in your catcher's mitt, Kyle?
For me, I basically just catch pitches.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't really like to do anything crazy with it.
Doesn't go in the oven.
Like my wife.
I try not to add any extra weight to the leather by getting it too wet or anything. For me, having a light catcher's glove is super important because that way I can just react quicker.
Well, and it kind of it leads into the next question of catching Matt Waldron, and you're over here with the Padres, and they're like, "Hey, welcome. This is going to be your role, and you're going to catch Matt Waldron, who throws this absolutely filthy knuckleball." How much experience had you had in your life, Little League and beyond, catching somebody that threw a knuckleball consistently?
Zero. Yeah.
Zero. Always a fun thing to learn at the big league level, trying to contribute on a new team in a new city. As you said, you want to impress. And here's this.
Speaking of gloves, did that require a new mitt?
Yeah, you can't use the big one. You can't use the big floppy one that they use, right?
We just don't have one right now. So it's like,
I'll take one if anyone's got one.
If anyone has one, we'll drop it off in the studio.
I mean, there's been so much talk about it. They say that big floppy knuckleball mitt is great for knuckleballs, but Waldron also throws 93.
Yeah.
And that's not going to feel good on your hand in that thin floppy mitt. So you kind of have to wear the regular mitt for his other pitches.
Well, I mean, we found a knuckleball mitt, and it's just not broken in. So we're kind of trying to break that in a little bit. I'm open to trying it, but yeah, I mean, it's just right now I'm using my backup glove, which is just bigger and floppier than my normal glove.
We hear the stories about Matt and the Tim Wakefield stories when they went to Boston and talking to Tom Candiotti and the other knuckleballers. Have they set you up with anybody who's ever caught a knuckleball? How do you, is there any techniques or anything instruction they've been able to give you? Because most of the coaches don't have any experience with this either.
Yeah, some of the other guys were telling me, let the ball travel. And I remember when the Yankees came into town, Trevino was telling me about some time that he had to catch a knuckleball guy, and he was like saying something about keeping the thumb up or sitting side saddle. So I've also listened to some interviews that Josh Tolley has given about it, and also I've heard some advice through the grapevine from Doug Mirabelli. But other than that, I mean, I'm kind of flying solo.
Yeah, I mean you're winging a little bit, but again, there's obviously it's 6 of one, half dozen of the other. Catching a knuckleball is really difficult, and especially Matt's is just incredible, and they show it on television slowed down. And I think the layman goes, "Oh, what's so hard about that? It's not even moving that fast." But there's an art form to it, obviously, because you don't get reps doing it. The ones that get me though for you guys is a guy like Morahone, who comes in throwing 97, top of the zone, snaps off a slider in the dirt. I don't know how you guys do it. I'm amazed by it. Your preference, though, if you get Matt Waldron or you get Morahone and that nasty biting slider at your feet, what's easier for you?
Morahone.
Morahone?
Yeah.
It's crazy to me. It's just crazy to me.
Yeah.
I love it, man. It's been really fun watching you, hit the ball out of the ballpark, watching you guys contribute. Tell us a little bit, if you can. I know that the clubhouse is really sacred, but we talk to Mike Schilt every day. The general mood of the team. I know it's your first year with the team, but you guys really seem to enjoy playing with each other a lot.
Yeah. I think kind of, I think, I can't speak for what, went on last year, but I think a lot of guys kind of learned a little bit from their experience last year, which was probably, from what I gather, a similar experience that I had with the Yankees last year, where it's like we kind of underperformed, didn't meet expectations. And so, the general kind of vibe in the clubhouse is everyone's bought into doing whatever it takes to win ball games. And, as of right now, this year, I think, we're on a good path. We're looking to find some consistency, but I think we're showing signs of that. And, everyone's just fully bought into doing whatever it takes.
Kyle Higashioka is with us in studio, and Padres have, 8 walk-offs this year, including yours, Kyle, about a month ago. Now, we talked about it the day after. In terms of the walk-off celebrations, we just saw Manny the other day, and everyone's slapping high fives as you're going down to first base. Yours was the most reserved of all of them. And that fits a little more with your personality. But I don't know. With all these celebrations that go, what do you feel like what's your go-to move on the celebrations?
Nothing.
Yeah.
Low heartbeat guy.
Are you even out there? Are you out there on some of the other ones?
I'm not the hype guy.
Jackson Merrill's,
we have other guys for
dancing
that.
and doing everything.
I just kind of keep the even keel.
Even on a walk, like you just walked it off, you're like, yeah, it was great.
He's like, yeah, that's what I'm supposed to do.
Yeah, just hit the ball hard. It's so good. Every team, you got to have the low heartbeat guy for sure. Have you always been that way, or were you? When you were a kid, were you a little more fiery and just kind of learned, or have you always been just pretty reserved?
I've always been kind of reserved, but I think I did it, or I started to try to do it more, the more I played baseball. And it's like, as a catcher, both sides of the ball are so important, and you have to separate them so much that it's like, I don't want to get too overhyped, from something that happens on offense and then take that to defense where I'm not focused for the pitcher. So it's just important to separate those two things. So then I just choose not to get too emotional.
Like, have you ever thrown a helmet?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, all right, good.
Yeah.
I just want to make sure.
He's human.
I want to make sure.
He's a human.
Good.
With one more just for me. With Campy coming back, now it looks like you're going to have a little more even playing time split going forward. Is that a good thing, considering how tough the position is for a long season, 162 games behind the plate, to have two guys who can kind of split the playing time?
Yeah, I think every good team needs to have two good catchers, because it's just so important. And there's the guys like Yadi Molina who catch 150 games a season, they just, to me, they don't really exist anymore. So it's really important to have two guys that you can count on behind the plate. So me personally, I'm striving to always be a solid option for the team, and I know Campy does too. He's one of the hardest workers in the clubhouse. So
that's awesome, man. And again, you want to be in there. Every baseball player, every pro baseball player I've ever talked to is like, I want to be in the lineup. I don't care what it takes. I just want to be in the lineup. You have to be a little bit different when you're behind the dish, and you have another guy that's wanting to get playing time as well. And you're the hot hand right now, certainly. So is there any kind of lamenting when you're not in the lineup?
No. That's the manager's job to choose the lineup. Me and Campy, we're just going to work as hard as possible, and however it shakes out, it's going to shake out. But I think we understand that that's not our decision. The only thing we can do is play well on the field, and whatever happens is going to happen.
Love it.
So before you go, we got to check traffic, and we got a couple minutes left. Would you mind picking up the guitar and just giving us a little
tread
song, your choice,
sure,
whatever you want to play? All right, we're gonna check traffic. And then when we come back, Kyle Higashioka is going to pick up Woods' Fender and play something for us before the end of the show here. That is coming up next on 97.3 The Fan.
From the 97.3 The Fan Traffic Center, here's Kelly Danick.
Got a few problems wrapping up our morning drive. Collision on westbound 8 Fletcher Parkway off ramp. Also reports of a collision on southbound 5 right at the 8 connector ramp. Not showing if any lanes are blocked. Southbound 805 right before the 8. Some debris in middle lanes to watch out for. Heading down the coastline. Southbound 5 just past Tamarack. Got a stalled car over to the right shoulder. I'm Kelly Danick with Ben and Woods, San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
All right, Kyle Higashioka in studio. He's got the guitar. He's putting on the headphones. Don't know what direction he's going to take us, but it's all up to him now.
Put you on your shelves. So good. That's absolutely phenomenal. He's a shredder. You still got the Trooper
Now,
in
what
you?
was that? I don't know.
That was Round and Round by Rat. You still have the Trooper?
Yeah.
Oh, God. This was the video I saw that blew my mind. Iron Maiden. Like 5, yeah, 5, 7. Incredible. That's unbelievable. Kyle,
people shouldn't be allowed to be talented at multiple things. If you tell me like you're a 2 handicap as well, I'm just gonna throw you out of the studio. Okay.
He's like, no, I'm a 1.
Kyle Higashioka, even my mom's texting, going, "This is so cool."
So good.
Kyle, really appreciate it. Thank you so much for coming in this morning. It's good to see you, and good luck to the Padres the rest of the way.
Thanks for having me, guys.
That was great.
Kyle
Higashioka,
so Padres catcher. You can go and do what you need to get done here, but we really appreciate you coming in.
Thank you, man. You got your shirt if you want it?
Yeah, take some swag with you for your appearance in studio. So, Padres are back tonight after the day off. Seattle Mariners in town. It's weird how the schedule works now. In the American League, you play everybody 3 times except your natural rival.
Right.
You play 4 times, 2 at home, 2 on the road. So this is just the 2-game series against the Seattle Mariners, and then another off day on Thursday. So a little quick 2-game set, then 3 against the Atlanta Braves Friday, Saturday, and Sunday going into the All-Star break. So 5 more games. Trying to get, you want to finish strong, obviously, going into the All-Star break here. You've gotten yourself, 4 games above 500 at this point. If you can have a winning record, just 3-2, I would say, in the last 5 games here. Get to the All-Star break with some good momentum. Get a little healthier when you come back, get some rest, and come back strong for the run, the last 2 months of the season coming up here.
I mean, yeah, it's very, very imperative. July is going to be such an interesting month for this team. What happens, who comes back, who doesn't come back, how does Xander play when he does come back? I mean, there's so many questions. This team's never boring, Benny. They're never, ever, ever dull or boring. They do bring the blood pressure up a little bit, certainly. And I just, you listen to what Kyle said about the team being bought in. And when was the last time we actually truly heard that and believed that the team was bought in and pulling on the same, all the cliches, pulling on the same rope and all that? I genuinely believe it. Flan said yesterday he watches this team every night. He knows enough people in the game. He says they're doing the right things. I don't know how it's going to shake out. I don't.
Is
but
it Mike
believe
Schilt? Is it not Mike Schilt? I can't say it's not. I really can't. I mean, whatever he's brought in is working for the San Diego Padres so far this season.
Yeah, no question.
And now that Kyle has left the studio, that was incredibly cool.
That was so cool, man.
Yeah, I didn't want to embarrass him anymore in having him in here and say, but that is truly remarkable to have that skill set, to be a major league catcher and be able to play guitar like that is truly incredible.
It was amazing. When he just launches into Round and Round, it was so cool, dude. He's unbelievable.
It's a way to connect too with fans as well. I mean, you connect obviously every night you play on the field, but there's going to be ups and downs over the course of the baseball season. I love when players can become humans as well, with other interests, and they're people just like you and me, and they have things that they like to do outside of baseball.
Have you ever seen
love to see that?
You ever see a lower resting heart rate than that guy ever?
Goodness gracious.
Crazy. Crazy.
Real quick, gentlemen, we have Padres tickets to give away.
Oh, that's right.
Beautiful. Still need to do that.
All right,
right now.
Let's do it right now. We've got tickets for tomorrow's game. As Paul said, it is Padres Mariners, and it's the throwback 1984 celebration. The first 40,000 fans going to receive Padres throwback hats celebrating the 40th anniversary of the 1984 World Series team. Get your tickets at padres.com/tickets or call now. Let's make it the sixth caller, 833-288-0973. Sixth caller at 833-288-0973. Going to win those tickets. As you mentioned, Tim Flannery's going to be playing and singing the national anthem. And I know they have some of the other 1984 guys that are going to be coming back to be honored. Got to meet some of them really in person for the first time, like, Terry Kennedy at Fantasy Camp.
Goose Gossage.
Goose, that we have a bit of a love-hate relationship, obviously.
No, I think it's mostly hate. I don't think there's any love that.
No, I love Goose.
Okay. Well,
one of my favorites.
On his.
Absolutely.
On his
part is just mostly hate.
Yeah.
But my part is definitely more love of Goose Gossage. So that'll be a really fun day tomorrow as the Padres wrap up this quick 2-game series against the Mariners on their throwback day.
Tell them.
You're a nerd too.
I'm
There you
a nerd
go.
too.
You're a nerd
Goose
too.
can say that, Bo. I don't know that you can say that, Bo.
Sweet baby. Oh, I love it. I love it. That was really, really cool. Really cool. One of the cooler moments we've had.
Absolutely.
Just picks it up and just starts shredding Iron Maiden's The Trooper, which is not easy to do. Not easy.
No, those weren't simple licks as far as I can tell. I've never played the guitar before
It's
in my
hard.
life.
Everything on that instrument is hard.
That's what I think
Everything.
too. I'm not crazy when I look at it and go, how does anyone make any noises come out of this thing at all that makes sense?
I started playing when I was like 5, like noodling around. I'm 48 years old. I can't play like a riff. I mean, it's just so hard to do. It's so hard to learn, your fingers and it's just.
Now, I didn't play the Guitar Hero video game. A lot of people did that.
I didn't either.
As well.
It's not even close to the same.
Not the same.
It's not even close to the same. It's like saying I was really good at MLB The Show, so I could be a big leaguer. I could call a game. I call it MLB The Show. You pick that thing up, and it's so intimidating. It's so intimidating. So it takes years and years of practice and that. But to sit down and just shred it was great. It was just great.
All right, Paulie, we just got a winner for the tickets.
Yes, Robert.
Robert, congratulations.
It's his birthday on Friday.
Beautiful. Happy birthday.
Woods' birthday next Friday.
That's right.
So it's a good birthday month in July. Everyone else, thank you so much for calling in. Sorry we didn't have more pairs of tickets to give away, but congratulations to Robert for winning those tickets. We'll come back tomorrow morning, 6 to 10, and we will have Big League Wednesday. We didn't talk to Adam Jones last week, so I assume we'll try to track him down.
He's going to be good.
Tomorrow's show. That's good.
Booney tomorrow as well.
And Brett Boone tomorrow. So Big League Wednesday in full effect, and hopefully have a win to talk about for the Padres. 2-game losing streaks are going to happen. They're fine. You do want to nip them in the bud. This will be a tough one, though. You got an all-star on the mound for the Mariners tonight in Logan Gilbert.
He's nasty, man.
And as far as we know, Adam Mazur is still scheduled to pitch for the Padres. He has thrown a little bit better the last couple of starts. Still gets hit hard a lot.
Gets hit hard, doesn't have a lot of swing and miss. But the Mariners are not really good offensively.
They haven't been. They've been having trouble scoring runs. They got great pitching, but offensively they've struggled. Julio Rodriguez has not had a great season, but he certainly is always a threat to hit at 460 feet.
Shut up.
Shut up.
Shut your mouth.
Sorry, just mentioning it. Just the reality of what the Padres are facing coming up here. It's a first-place team.
Yeah.
Now, they were 10 games up on the Astros like 2 or 3 weeks ago. Now it's down
creeping.
to what? 3 games back. They're hot. They're very much in the rearview mirror at this point. If I'm a Seattle fan, I'm going, we had a chance to put that team away when they got off to a bad start, and we have now let them completely back in it in the American League West. And that's not the team you really want chasing you down at this point.
Get a dub, my friends.
All right, we'll be back to talk about it tomorrow. Annie and Elston are coming up next. They'll take you to the next 4 hours until 10 o'clock. Thank you to Kyle Higashioka in studio. Thanks to Bo Woods. You're a nerd too, Bo. Paul Reindl is our executive producer and imaging director for Stephen Woods. I'm Ben Higgins. Good to be back. Have a great rest of your Tuesday from all of us here at San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.